Two cousins are going to prison for luring a man to a hotel room on the Las Vegas Strip and shooting him. I have the chilling details out of the Silver State. This is a Law and Crime legal alert. Did you know that children are being diagnosed with serious conditions like type 2 diabetes and not for one? He was ended one year. Altamirano Solano came to the United States from Nicaragua. He was looking for a better life. He lived in Las Vegas, and sadly, it's where his life ended one evening in May of 2023. It was May 17th when Brian Altamirano Solano met two women at a hotel on the Las Vegas Strip. Surveillance footage showed Altamirano Solano with a bag across his chest. He was walking through the hallway, arm in arm, with one woman on each arm. They went to a room at Caesar's Palace. 15 minutes later, the women were running away from the room down the hall. When Altamirano Solano didn't check out of the hotel hours later, a housekeeper found him. He had been shot. Las Vegas Metro Police found an Instagram post showing Ariana Taylor and Erica Covington wearing the same clothes as the women in the video with Altamirano Solano when he was walking to his room. Police also said a cartridge casing in Altamirano Solano's hotel room was matched to Taylor's gun from another incident. The two cousins, Taylor and Covington, were charged with robbing and murdering Brian Altamirano Solano within days. Now, as I mentioned, Brian Altamirano Solano came to the U.S. from Nicaragua looking for a better life, and this happened to him. He became the target of a robbery and murder. Then late last month, Erica Covington and Ariana Taylor accepted plea agreements, pleading guilty to second-degree murder and other charges. Taylor didn't speak, but Covington apologized to Altamirano Solano's family during the sentencing hearing. Solano's mother sadly told the court through an interpreter during the sentencing, "The pain that I felt was so deep. I felt like I lost my son. Why? Why my son?" Altamirano Solano's father said it wasn't enough just taking his belongings. They had to kill him. "I ask for justice for my son." Both Erica Covington and Ariana Taylor have been sentenced to 10 to 25 years in prison. They will be eligible for parole after serving 10 years behind bars. I want to bring in Melba Pearson. She is a former prosecutor who prosecuted cases in Florida. I know this is a Nevada case, Melba, but this is a pretty clear-cut case, it seems to me. These two cousins have entered into a plea agreement, pleading guilty to second-degree murder. They will be eligible for parole after serving 10 years. Is that surprising to you? It seems like a pretty heinous crime, what happened. So for them to be eligible for release after serving just 10 years, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it's definitely my heart goes out to the victim's family because they are deeply grieving the loss of their loved one, and especially over something so senseless. But in terms of the sentence, it's not that unusual in terms of looking at the totality of the circumstances. It's possible that the family didn't want to have to go through an entire trial. It's possible that the two defendants had taken responsibility for their actions and were able as such to be able to craft this plea agreement for them to serve some time in prison, but then have that opportunity to potentially rebuild their lives and maybe make amends for the horrible things that they did. But the key is just because you're eligible for release after 10 years does not mean you will be released in 10 years. So part of the things that the parole board or whoever the body is in Nevada that is going to be deciding whether or not these two women should be released will be looking at things like, number one, during the time they were incarcerated, did they get an education? So there are GED programs available in many prisons, as well as the ability to get an associate's degree or something like that. Did they try to further their education? Did they engage in going to counseling or something along those lines? What positive things have they done to better their lives and their future during the time they were incarcerated? Did they get into fights? Did they cause problems? All of those things factor in. And if they did not act in a way that was appropriate or try to move their lives forward, it is unlikely that they would get out after 10 years and will more likely serve their entire sentence.
Mm-hmm. Both, as you mentioned, they accepted responsibility. They did enter into this plea agreement. They pleaded guilty to the charge. So they did accept responsibility to a degree. But when this first happened and they were first taken into custody, apparently Ariana Taylor said that she had a really bad memory because she had been in a car accident. Erica Covington, her cousin, had said, yeah, we met the guy down by the valet, but had trouble communicating with him. And then she kind of lawyered up, which is her right. But the evidence in this case, I want to talk about the evidence in this case. I mean, it was pretty, it was pretty good evidence. I mean, they have surveillance video of the two cousins, Erica Covington and Ariana Taylor, walking arm in arm with Brian Altamirano Solano up to the hotel room. They then, and through other parts of the hotel, and they have them running, bolting out of the room 15 minutes later out of the hotel room. I mean, it's not often, I don't think, that you have a case, Melba. You probably would love to have had evidence like that in all of your cases. I mean, it seems to me like very high risk behavior that these two young women engaged in, doing this, luring this man to the hotel room, going up there with him, shooting him, and dashing out of there. And they had all of this video evidence where it put them with him in the room, and then they matched up the clothing with the Instagram video that one of them had posted.
Yes, there was definitely some solid evidence, and you are absolutely right, Anjanette. There were many a case in my career as a prosecutor that I wished I had surveillance video, or that the surveillance video was actually clear and not furry, and you're trying to lead the jury along. Like, if you squint this way, you can see, and it's horrible when you're in those situations, because again, you want to have that best evidence for the jury to understand very clearly, point by point, as to what happened. But again, part of the evidence in this also included explicit videos of sexual activities that may have occurred in that room. And that could be incredibly embarrassing to the family as well. I mean, granted, we're talking consenting adults, but again, you're talking about someone who has lost their life as a result of a murder. And then to sort of have these very intimate moments being shown to a courtroom of strangers could have been a lot for the family to have to endure and deal with. So it is possible that in order to preserve the dignity of the victim's name, that they didn't want to have all of these videos and all of this discussion around what he may or may not have been doing that night to really enter the public discourse, and just focus on his loss and his memory.
Yeah, and the family of Brian Altamirano Solano, I mean, they are just, this may bring one chapter to a close, but they will never get over this. It's just so sad. And listening to what his mother had to say via the translator, I mean, she was saying, "Why, my son? Why?" I mean, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. Along with the video evidence, which is probably, to me, just the best evidence in this case, along with some of the denials made by the two cousins when they were first interviewed, because I feel like sometimes denials can make you look worse than a straight admission. But they said that they also recovered one of the cartridge casings in the hotel room. And that cartridge casing, the police were able to match to Ariana Taylor's handgun from another prior incident. So that was pretty good kind of corroborating evidence as well. I still say, in my opinion, the video evidence is the best evidence. But when you have that cartridge casing evidence as well, I mean, that's really good evidence too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, there was some discussion as to whether or not who actually pulled the trigger, and
Right.
who actually was the person that had ended this victim's life. But again, when we think about it from the legal and the charging perspective, it's basically a conspiracy. If the two of you made a plan to go in and rob this person and death resulted, both of you are equally as culpable. It doesn't matter that you weren't the one to pull the trigger, you were involved. So the prosecution did not necessarily have to prove which one of the two cousins pulled the trigger. They just had to prove that it was literally one of them. The cause and manner of death was homicide, and the firearm and the casing was linked to the firearm, which was then linked to the defendant. So
yeah, and a lot of people don't quite understand that. I mean, that a lot of states have laws like that, whether you're in Nevada, Florida, anywhere else. If you're a part of it and you're there and you're present, you're just as guilty, even if you didn't pull the trigger.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, to go back to a point that you made earlier, this was not only extremely high risk behavior because the victim would have been completely within his right to stand his ground. So if he had a firearm, this could have easily turned the opposite way, and both of them ended up getting shot. And sadly, I'd seen cases the same way where two people went to commit a robbery. The intended victim had a firearm and ended up killing one of the people that attempted to rob them. But then the defendant that was left behind ended up getting charged with their co-defendant's murder, basically, because again, you went into the situation looking to commit a robbery, a death resulted, you still end up getting held accountable. So this could have gone in so many different directions, but no matter how you cut it, it was going to end as a tragedy. And for what? I mean, the victim's father said it perfectly. Not only did they rob my son, that was not enough for them. They had to take his life as well. And that was just incredibly heartbreaking.
Yeah, and one of the cousins' mothers had posted on Facebook kind of defending her daughter, saying basically, you don't know what happened. You don't really know what happened in that room. And his wallet was still with him. She's claiming he still had his wallet with $1,500 in it at the hotel room, and that they just got away with the bag. So, Melba, I mean, that to me is just almost, it makes it even more sad. If they took off with a bag and it has nothing of value in it, and the $1,500, I mean, it's just heartbreaking. It doesn't make it any better or worse, but it's just awful to me that even if the $1,500 in the wallet is remaining in the room, it's even more senseless to me in some ways.
Absolutely. And she's absolutely right. We don't know what happened in that room, but we do know several things. Number one, the victim went into that room and never came back out alive, and wasn't discovered till 8 hours later by, a poor housekeeping person just walked in, and to that horror of seeing someone deceased in the hotel room. That's the last thing you expect when you go to work in the morning. So you have the trauma of not only the family losing their loved one, but of all the other people that were involved in the situation and had to be witnesses to something so horrible. And, we also know that the last people who saw him alive were these two women. And so they're in possession of stolen items from him. They're in possession of the gun, or at least the gun is tied back to them. So the family of the defendants knows the facts. They're seeing what's publicly available. Now's not the time to try and double down and defend those actions. It's to at least show grace to the family that has lost a loved one, and let the justice system take its course.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaking case, just absolutely heartbreaking. And Brian Altamirano Solanos should still be here. And my heart goes out to his family. And these young women could be in prison for up to 25 years. Melba Pearson, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.
On March 12, 2023, police in Vancouver, Washington received a call from a worried grandmother. Her daughter and granddaughter, 27 and 6 years old, had gone missing. Miche was a single mother, and her daughter Layla was her whole world. There was no obvious reason for them to abscond without telling their family members. Something darker was at play.
It's been since last Sunday since anybody heard, seen, or talked to my daughter and granddaughter.
I'm missing a whole part of me. It's my sister and that's my niece. We don't know where they're at.
One of the last people to see Miche Melendez alive was this man, Kirkland Warren. He was Miche's ex-boyfriend, and they'd had a tumultuous relationship. But Kirkland said they were working things out, or they had been, when Miche and her daughter disappeared. A young mother and a vulnerable child. It was imperative that the police find these two missing persons as soon as possible. But soon enough, their investigations would reveal a twisted history and a murder that would leave Vancouver scarred for generations to come.
I don't come here with all questions. I do have some answers. What do you think my answers are?
Let's uncover those answers here on The Decoder, where we'll dive into exclusive interview and body cam footage to tell the terrible story of what happened to Miche Melendez. Vancouver, Washington is one of the state's most populous cities. On the border with Oregon and close to the West Coast, it has a violent crime rate of 6.32 per 1,000 residents. This is higher than the state average, and made it even more concerning when Miche Melendez and her daughter went missing in March 2023. 27-year-old Miche was last seen with her daughter Layla by a friend in a burgundy Dodge Charger on the morning of March 12th. The driver of this car was Kirkland Warren, her ex-boyfriend. It seemed likely that he had been the last person to see Miche alive. March 22nd, 2023. What seemed like an ordinary day in a prison in Vancouver, but for this detective, waiting at the chess table to conduct an interview, it was the most important day in this case. He'd been tasked with finding missing Miche and Layla. He could only hope he'd ask all the right questions.
I guess first of all, how are you holding up? As you can. Okay. Because we're here in a jail, I'm a regional Miranda rights, so I'm a missing persons detective. Okay. I also do a few other things like cell phones and computers. I'm a bit of a geek, but part of me being a geek is I also have to do missing persons. So in my missing persons investigation, Joanne told me at some point in the night of March 12th, she saw you with, is it Miche or Misha?
Miche.
Kirkland said that he, Miche, and Layla had stayed the night together in a friend's apartment.
Did she say she was going somewhere? Can you tell me anything about that?
No, there was no talk about going anywhere. We had went out. Well, initially we came over to Joe's house because she was a mutual friend.
Okay.
We just came over there this is really my girlfriend, so.
So you guys went over to Joe's because she's a mutual friend, right?
And we were literally just going to talk and be together. We slept together that night, everything.
He said they were meeting to reconcile after some drama in their relationship. According to him, everything went well that night, and they left Joe's house in the morning as planned.
Joe says that she saw, at some point in the night, you and Miche left, you guys came back, and then you and left the apartment with Miche, who apparently was out in your car. What kind of car do you drive?
Charger.
The Dodge Charger, right? Yeah. And then where did you guys go after that?
It wasn't nighttime then. It was the morning time. We didn't go anywhere. Miche had parked the car down the street. And we went down the street and took her to the car.
Okay.
And that was it.
Kirkland told the investigator that Miche had left her car further down the street and that he drove her and her daughter over to it. He let them out and they drove away. This, according to him, was the last time he ever saw the pair alive. Miche and Layla were reported missing on March 18th, 6 days later. Miche was an independent woman with her own life, but she wouldn't do something reckless like disappear without telling her family. She took good care of her daughter, who often appeared in her TikTok videos, doing dances with her mom. Layla, though only 6, was doing well in school and had a promising life ahead of her. Miche once said, "I don't know how I got blessed with such an amazing daughter. She was beloved by her mom and her mom's entire family, including Miche's mother, Layla's grandmother. When her mom didn't hear from her all week, she called the police." The Vancouver Police Department conducted a welfare check on Miche's apartment and found no sign of Miche and Layla. But the next day, Miche's mom, desperately searching for her daughter and granddaughter, discovered Miche's car. It was abandoned in the Van Mall neighborhood, the same neighborhood where she and Layla had stayed with Kirkland on the night of the 11th. Kirkland said he tried to contact her that same day.
And then I tried contacting her later on that day because she had left her purse. And then
So, I'm sorry, she left her purse?
she left her purse.
Okay, so she left her purse in your car?
Yeah.
Okay.
But literally after that, Joe, even then, I had tried to, I didn't call her on a regular phone. I called her Google Duo, just because she said it was the safest. Called her Google Duo, she wasn't picking up.
And this is because she's missing, right? Like you were trying to get a hold of her and you couldn't.
I mean, it wasn't a big concern at first because
Okay.
I literally just thought she was just ignoring me for a little bit or something.
Kirkland and Miche had an on-again, off-again relationship. It didn't seem unusual that she wouldn't contact him for a while. He said he went to a bagel shop after dropping her off and then to another friend's house, Nettie's. Her absence didn't concern him until she was reported missing nearly a week later.
So where do you think they're at?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
Is there any history of them running off?
Not that I know of.
No.
Okay, so when you went over to Nettie's, what did you and Nettie do?
We just hung out, ate a bagel, and just watched TV.
Did you buy her a bagel too?
Yeah.
Is she like a girlfriend?
No.
No, she's just a friend.
Miche is my girlfriend. Miche is my girlfriend. But me and my wife are in the process of being separated.
Kirkland grew up in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. He was the son of a municipal judge who resigned in 2009 following allegations of misconduct, including second-degree forgery, abuse of office, and attempted theft of property. In the last few years, Kirkland had moved to Vancouver, Washington, where he married a woman named Monet Tyler Warren. She and Kirkland had 2 daughters. Aged 26 in the spring of 2023, she worked at a bank in Portland. But she'd recently been accused of stealing money from customer accounts and transferring it to others. The theft amounted to nearly $25,000. This wasn't a random, unconnected incident. On November 21st, 2022, Monet's credentials were used to alter account information at the credit union in order to steal, and $20,000 was transferred into an account under Miche Melendez's name. Miche was also seen on surveillance footage opening an account at the credit union that same month and exiting Monet's car. The 2 women knew each other and may have been tangled up in a criminal scheme together. This made sense with Miche's social media presence. She was an active TikTok user until her last post on December 20th, 2022. Right around the time of the thefts from the credit union, she began to go dark online, perhaps trying to minimize her exposure in case of an investigation. In both of her last posts, she could be seen with Kirkland. But what was Miche and Monet's connection? How had they developed the scheme if they were indeed both involved? The only thing the 2 women had in common was one man, Kirkland Warren. And Monet blamed Kirkland when she was questioned by police. She said she'd been changing the account information on behalf of her husband, who'd asked her to help him steal money. He said he was divorcing Monet, but his relationship with her wasn't just turbulent, it was criminal. And this went for his relationship with Miche, too. They'd been staying at their friend's apartment instead of one of their own for a specific reason, a restraining order.
You guys were going to stay, how long you guys been staying there?
Literally the first night.
Okay, gotcha.
Because we, like I said, wasn't trying to violate or get caught violating.
Understood.
The previous December, Miche had called 911 to report that Kirkland had assaulted her, including firing shots at her balcony window as she was looking outside. In February, investigators had corroborated her story with a friend, who was also present during the altercation. But a mere 2 weeks later, on February 17th, Miche recanted the accusation. She said she'd lied about the shooting and that she and her friend both had mental health and substance abuse problems. She discredited herself and wanted the police to assure her that Kirkland wouldn't be arrested. But the police found this suspicious. On March 2nd, they arrested Kirkland on charges of second-degree domestic violence assault, drive-by shooting, making a false statement, harassment, and possession of a stolen firearm. The prosecutor said he posed an extreme risk to Miché's safety, with a score of 31 on a scale of 1 to 18. The judge held him on bail of $100,000 and ordered a domestic violence no-contact order. Kirkland violated this order within only hours of its issue. He called Miché twice from the Clark County Jail, saying she was the reason he'd been arrested and that he needed her to get the charges dropped. She said she was trying her best. He was released on bail later that day, but was cited in court for violating the no-contact order. A higher bail and GPS monitoring was ordered on March 6th, but the next day the case was dismissed and he was not fitted with a GPS monitor.
They're not protected. DV has never really been taken seriously. The restraining orders are false security blankets. He was released with no GPS in the first place.
With this troubled history, he was the first suspect the police looked to in their investigation of the mother and daughter's disappearance. They served a search warrant for his house and car, and on March 19th, they took him into custody based on the violation of the order.
Hey, show me your hands, it's the police. Put your hands on top of your head and release your fingers. Listen, you are under arrest for a violation, okay? Do you understand? If you do not obey commands, force may be used against you. Do you understand?
This gave the police the opportunity to interview him about Miché and Layla.
So, I mean, I'm trying to gather leads, right? So if you were me, where would you go looking for, and again, if I find, I'm likely going to find Miché, right? So where do you think they're hiding out at? Where do you think would go? Where would she want to be?
I don't know. The only, and then like I said, again, I'm not trying to point fingers or anything. Her ex-husband literally took and wouldn't give her back for a couple days, and we had an issue with that. So
when was that?
This was like sometime last year, maybe.
Kirkland suggested that maybe Miché's ex-husband had something to do with it. But the police had already visited him and determined that Miché and Layla weren't with him. And unlike Kirkland, he didn't have an outstanding no-contact order against him.
Fair enough. I'm trying not to get too involved in your other case, right? But like I said, I'm more interested in that little girl, okay? That is, Miché could be anywhere, right? But I mean, I'm sure you love that little girl like everybody else, right? I mean, that little girl got a lot of family, right?
Two of my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, I'm really, when Miché gave her brother a card, I'm the one that got up in the morning to take Layla to school every morning.
And you're kind of soft-spoken. Do you mind if I pull up a chair? Sweet, man.
It's no, I got a lot of shit I'm already dealing with, and this just makes everything worse.
Like what? Like your other cases?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I only had one other case, and I've never ran from it. I've always been at every court date on time. I posted bail, never got in trouble since. This is the most trouble I've been in since.
Kirkland presented himself, if not as an upstanding citizen, then at least one who was trying to do better and was complying with the terms of his past run-ins with the law. But this wasn't true, because there was something else the investigators knew about him, something that made him even more of a suspicious figure.
Where did you live before you lived here?
Arkansas.
Kirkland hadn't left Arkansas just because he longed for the western seaboard. He'd fled another criminal case, this time a murder. In November 2017, a 57-year-old man called Curtis Urquhart went missing in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Earlier that year, he'd been charged with second-degree forgery and theft of property. His body was discovered lying in a ditch by 3 men on December 11th. He'd been shot in the head, and his body had been mutilated by wildlife. He'd last been seen leaving a law office with Kirkland, then 22, on November 27th. This threw Kirkland under suspicion of his murder, and the police brought him in for an interview. Kirkland admitted he'd killed Curtis. That same December, his Google history showed searches for how to get blood out of a car seat, how to beat murder, killing the only witness, and other ways to get away with murder. He'd said he and Curtis had left the notary's office together and driven around, when Curtis had started to demand money from him. Kirkland refused, but Curtis kept insisting, and he said he was scared for his life. He reached under the driver's seat and pulled out a handgun, which he used to shoot Curtis in the head. He then dumped Curtis's body in a ditch and drove away. Kirkland was charged with first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. He was released on $250,000 bond, and at some point between 2018 and 2020, moved across the country to Washington State. There, far from obeying the terms of his bail, he continued to violate it. In 2020, Vancouver police investigated him for possession of a stolen semi-automatic handgun. He surrendered it to them, but the following March he lied on an application to buy another semi-automatic handgun, saying he wasn't under indictment for a felony. The application was denied. But he got hold of a gun somehow anyway, because in December 2022, he used it to shoot at Miche's balcony window. Kirkland's murder charge in Arkansas was still pending, and now the disappearance of a mother and child was connected to his name. On March 17, 2023, the day before Miche and Layla were reported missing, an Arkansas judge revoked his bail in the murder case. On the 22nd, he appeared in court and admitted he was wanted in Arkansas, but refused to waive extradition to be turned over to the authorities there. The judge ordered that he be held without bail. And that same day, 2 bodies were found.
On Wednesday morning, the Clark County Sheriff's Office got a call from someone who was walking on this rural road in Washougal. The caller described what they believed to be 2 life-sized mannequins down an embankment near a creek. But when deputies arrived on scene, they discovered 2 bodies. Investigators contacted Vancouver police, who determined this was likely Miche Melendez and Layla Stewart.
They'd both been killed by gunshot wounds to the head. Miche had been shot once and Layla twice, and Layla had been assaulted. The investigators took this discovery to their interrogation of Kirkland.
Do you think I'm here to judge you?
No.
Do you think I'm here because maybe God put me here?
You're here to do your job.
Yeah, and what do you think that job is?
To find them.
To find them, right? Do you think maybe I have found them?
No.
You don't know?
I hope not.
You hope not?
I hope not in the way you think. I hope not in the way that I think you about to say.
What do you think I'm about to say? Kirkland,
Just tell me they're okay.
I can't tell you that.
That's all I need to hear. Just
What do
tell
you
me
think?
they're okay.
Where do you think they are?
I don't know.
Kirkland, I'm here to ask about what actually happened. And I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you if I didn't think that maybe you'd want to talk about it.
I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything?
No, sir.
So what did happen?
I don't know. I don't know where they are.
You don't know where they are?
I've been calling and calling.
I get it. Do you think that maybe that might be some denial?
No, sir.
Kirkland.
I made my mistake before.
Okay, fair enough, man. I'm not here to about past
I
stuff.
don't run from it.
Then tell me about what happened to that baby.
I don't know.
You do know.
I don't.
Kirkland, I don't want to go down the road with all the stuff that I have on my phone. I want to hear it from a man. You're a man, right?
I am
You're a man that maybe made a mistake, not a monster?
not a monster. I
Okay.
made my mistakes in the past.
So tell me about the mistake that happened.
The one in Arkansas?
No, I don't. Not about that, man. Tell me about this baby.
I don't know.
Kirkland tried to bring the conversation back to his past charges, including the murder in Arkansas. But he'd already confessed to that. This was something new, and it displayed eerily similar hallmarks to the killing of Curtis Urquhart. They'd been shot in the head like Curtis and left in a ditch also like Curtis.
I was there. I was at the scene. I know what road you were off of. I know why there's mud on your car. I know why there's tire tracks down that little road that goes up where you turned around and went back. I know all that stuff. I don't need to know if you did it. Everyone wants to know why. And I think a man like you would at least give people the peace of mind of to at least know why.
I didn't do anything.
The investigator urged him to confess, but he refused.
But this is your opportunity to at least tell your family why.
I'm done talking. I told you I didn't know anything. We can go with an attorney from there.
He asked for his attorney. But even without a confession, the evidence was mounting that he'd had something to do with Misha and Layla's murders. On March 13th and 15th, he texted a friend asking if she knew of secluded local areas like woods or a place where he could bury a gun. On the 15th, he also transferred $4,200 from Misha's bank account to his own using her phone. He texted another friend on March 18th saying, "I need to get rid of this stolo," which is slang for a stolen car. It was possible he was referring to the Charger that Misha and Layla had last been seen in. On a search of this car, the police discovered shell casings, a large blue tarp, and both Misha and Layla's blood. It seemed certain that they'd been killed in his car. They talked to the friend that Misha and Kirkland had been staying with on the night of the 11th. This friend, Joe, said that they'd both left the house at about 5 a.m. March 12th, saying they were going out to make some money. Kirkland came back in his car at about 8 a.m., blasting loud music with Misha in the passenger seat. She was naked from the waist down and seemed to be passed out. Joe reached into the car to turn the music down, and Kirkland shouted at her to close the car door. But she didn't suspect something was amiss. Fatefully, she handed Layla and Layla's kitten Rocky over to Kirkland, and Kirkland drove off. Kirkland often took Layla to school, and she trusted him like a father. When she got into his car that morning, she would have no idea what was coming, and no idea that her mom was already dead in the front seat. Her life had so much promise as a 6-year-old child, and it was cruelly snatched away.
And Layla had a little kitten named Rocky. That night, pictures of her, she had a kitten on her shirt. She loved cats. And when Joanna Cardinal put her in the defendant's car, she had Rocky with her. And it's our hope that Rocky was the last thing that she saw at the time in which she passed this earth.
The loss of Layla has left a void in my heart that can never be filled. Every day, I wake up with the pain, knowing that my little girl will never grow up.
Our family has been torn apart by grief and the endless questions that haunt us every day. Why?
He a 7-year-old and then shot her and killed her.
You have judges that let him out, should never have let him out. You have a district attorney who gave him bail. Why would you give somebody bail who has this kind of a history?
With all the evidence mounting, Kirkland had to change his story. He then claimed that he'd given Misha a pistol to use to protect herself in her line of work, about which he was vague. He said that on that fateful morning they'd been arguing in the car about his second cell phone, and she'd fumbled with her gun during the conversation. She'd accidentally shot her daughter twice and then herself. This was what he claimed. But why try to hide the bodies?
Bro, just take what you did, bro. Like, don't. That's so disrespectful.
And it would be some coincidence with the facts of the case so closely resembling the 2017 murder of Curtis Urquhart. Ultimately, Kirkland Warren had no choice but to plead guilty. He admitted to the murders of Layla and Mishe, and he entered an Alford plea to a charge of assaulting Layla. This plea allowed him to maintain his innocence, but functioned as a guilty plea in sentencing. For these crimes, he was sentenced to life in prison.
I can't even make any more memories. The 7 years was all I had. And it's all because of Kirkland Warren. And I want him to suffer every single day.
Mishe's family questions why he was allowed out on bail for the domestic violence charge when he had a murder case standing against him.
The trouble is when we have a legal system with district attorneys and judges, they are horribly undertrained in domestic violence. They know laws, but they don't know a perpetrator, they don't know the characteristics of a perpetrator, and they don't know what they do to a victim.
He also pleaded guilty to Curtis's murder. His sentence for this 7-year-old crime will run concurrently with the life sentence handed down for the killing of Layla and Mishe. And though Arkansas is a death penalty state, that punishment has been taken off the table. It was abolished in Washington state in 2023. The motive for the murders remains unknown, though his interference in Mishe's accounts and his theft scheme involving his wife Monet suggest it was potentially financial. Monet pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree theft and 2 counts of attempted identity theft, and was sentenced to 2 years probation. Kirkland Warren now begins his life sentence, but the Clark County community is angry, and Mishe and Layla's family won't ever move on.
From the family to the larger community, this tragic case has brought many tears. At a vigil at Vancouver's Esther Short Park the weekend after Mishe and Layla's bodies were found, hundreds came out to remember and honor them, including Layla's classmates.
We really want to honor the family and make sure they get lots of support for that Layla and her mom is gone.
Close friends with Layla and Mishe. Layla was pretty much my niece. So yeah, this has been very heartbreaking. We hope something changes. We hope that if a victim comes out and they're scared, that the police do way more than what they did for her.
What do you think about this tragic story? Could Mishe and Layla's killings have been prevented? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Until next time, stay safe, keep up with our channel, and we will see you very soon on The Decoder.
An ordinary afternoon in Gulf Breeze, Florida. On this quiet suburban street, a married couple are arguing, as couples often do. But for these two, today, it's different.
What was that? You just shot me. She just shot it. I just heard 4 shots.
The local police department received 3 911 calls from the Turner's house on September 8, 2021. This was the last call. When somebody calls the emergency services, it's clear they're in trouble, but rarely does the call capture a crime being committed. Here, the sound of gunshots were exactly what they seemed to be. The sound of 34-year-old Colin James Turner being murdered. When the police got to the scene, they found Colin's wife, 34-year-old Bree Coon. She was the only adult in the house, and it was clear she'd had something to do with it. But why? What had led her to the point of mercilessly executing her husband while he was on the phone to the police? A troubled relationship, kids caught in the middle, and a he said, she said situation that ended in murder. It should have been a fairy tale marriage. But here, on the decoder, things don't often work out that way. This is the tragic story of Bree Kuhn and Colin Turner. Gulf Breeze is a quiet, picturesque place in the Pensacola area of Florida.
I don't know
It's
how I just got through all
an
that.
ideal
How I just scored
destination
right there.
for
That was just
vacation or
wild.
retirement, and known for
was
its
crazy.
excellent schools, beaches, and good education. What more could a family ask for? But some families bring their strife with them. It was an ordinary Wednesday afternoon, towards the end of the summer season, when a police patrol car was called to a quiet suburban street. This was not the first call they'd received from this residence that afternoon, but this one was fatal.
Anybody else in there? Can we open this?
The police had to climb underneath the door to enter Colin Turner's garage, which had now become a crime scene. Inside, they found Colin lying dead on the floor, covered in blood.
I don't know who he is, but he's in the garage. 3 in the chest, or looks like 3 in the chest. Might be 2. They said they heard 4 gunshots, though.
On the 911 call, 4 shots had rung out, and then Colin had fallen silent.
Sorry there. He's not answering.
This was why the police had hastened to the scene, because the 911 operator believed she'd listened to a murder in real time. And with Colin dead on the floor of his own garage, it seemed she'd been right. The police spread out and searched the property. In particular, they were searching for the murder weapon. They found a gun in the kitchen.
It looks like it's in the holster.
Yeah.
But it's stuck behind the toaster.
Stuck behind a toaster.
This was an act of violence committed at the heart of the domestic space. The gun was hidden in the kitchen, the victim was locked in the garage, and the kids were just across the street. They'd been in the house when their father was murdered. When the police got to the scene, those 3 kids were present. 2 were Colin and Bree's children, aged 4 and 3, while the third was Bree's 12-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. The cops found Bree sitting with the daughter on a neighbor's porch, talking to her about what had happened.
She told her that everything would be fine and that she was sorry. And when I spoke to her, I asked her if she was all right, and she said that I shot him.
Within minutes of the shooting, with her daughter right there, Bree confessed. She said she'd been the one to shoot her husband.
She told me that she shot him because he was going to take that she shot him because he was going to take my children.
Bree seemed to be in a state of shock.
Are you in shock?
Well, do me a favor. Can you?
Is he alive?
They're working on him right now.
Okay.
She didn't seem to realize that she'd killed Colin, not at first, but the horrific reality sank in as the police were patting her down.
He was dead. I saw him and I tried to help, but he was dead. Okay, well, let's not talk about that right now, okay? My kids don't have a dad or a mom now. And this is my fault. And he's right. I'm a murderer.
So listen, listen to me. You're not under arrest right now. You're being detained, okay? While we investigate.
No, you should arrest me. I killed my husband.
Bree's mood was going up and down. From being convinced Colin was dead, she then suggested that maybe he wasn't.
Hopefully I just shot him. Maybe he's not dead. He should not be dead. How come they're not going to get him? The ambulance.
The ambulance wasn't going to get Colin because Colin was dead at his wife's hand, and she seemed full of regret. She knew what she'd done, and she knew it wasn't right. So why had she done it? How had this ordinary afternoon turned so tragic and ended so fatally? Bree Kuhn was born in May 1987. She graduated East Mississippi Community College in 2012 at the age of 25, and she joined the Navy. This was where she met Colin Turner from Georgia. Colin was the same age as Bree and served in the United States Marine Corps for 14 years, rising to the level of gunnery sergeant before leaving on a medical discharge due to a traumatic brain injury. He became a stay-at-home dad to his and Bree's children. Bree remained in the Navy, serving as a leading petty officer at Naval Air Station Pensacola. This could have left Colin at a loose end, resenting his wife's achievements while he looked after the kids. But instead, he kept himself busy with further education, studying for a degree in electrical engineering online. He'd been accepted into a master's program at Johns Hopkins University and listed it on his Facebook profile that he'd start studying there in January 2022. Tragically, that day would never arrive. Not much is known about what drew these two together, or what they had in common other than the Navy. Both had children from previous relationships, but they were committed to building a life together, with their first child born in 2017 and their second in 2018. But recently, their relationship seemed to have taken a turn for the worse. Colin had recently tagged Bree in a Facebook meme that said, "Fun fact, the majority of archaeologists are women due to their natural ability to dig up the past." Bree herself had been using Facebook to ask for advice about divorce attorneys. She apparently wrote, "It will likely be an ugly, contested one that involves children and property." Something had gone seriously wrong between this loving couple. So wrong that their relationship ended in murder. On September 8th, the police were called 3 times. Both the first and second time, they failed to prevent the most tragic of outcomes, until they were arriving on the scene to find the man they'd spoken to dead on the floor. The first 911 call was at 12:53 p.m. Colin and Bree had got into a heated argument, and it was Bree who called the cops.
She's got a shotgun and her pistol in the bedroom with her. Okay. And my pistol is on the dashboard of my truck.
Bree accused Colin of getting violent with her.
What's going on today, ma'am?
So my husband is trying to take the kids. He threw me on the floor and pushed me against the wall.
And this all happened today?
This happened today. We've been having issues over since the weekend.
What are the issues about?
Just typical relationship stuff. His go-to is to use the kids against me. So he's trying to take them to Georgia. And I don't want them to go.
As the officer was talking to her, the kids kept interrupting, wanting to show him things. They didn't seem to have a sense of the danger brewing above their heads, or maybe they were just used to it. Maybe this was how an average day went in Bree and Colin's household, with the threat of aggression constantly present.
I have appointments with attorneys. I don't want him in the house. He ran me over the weekend. I just want
You got any marks anywhere? You got any bruises or anything?
No.
The problem is, I got to be able to prove it.
Bree wanted the police to remove her husband from the house. She said that he'd attacked her, but she didn't have any physical evidence. And the officers told her that her word alone wasn't enough.
We're not going to get involved with you guys taking the kids or separating the kids or saying that this parent or that parent can take the children. That's not unless there's a protection order or a domestic violence injunction or something from a court. If you want, I'll get you a statement and get you started on that. Fill it out. Tell me what happened today.
I'm sitting with the kids and get out of here, and I can fill them out at another time.
The officer ordered to take a full statement from Bree, which would be the first step in the process of getting some kind of court order against Colin, if what she said was true. But she refused. She said maybe she'd do it at a later date, because her priority was her children. The police then talked to Colin.
Was at any point in time did it get physical? I told you I tried to grab my daughter last night, and she got physical and stopped me. So I backed off at that point, because that kind of allegation is the last thing I need.
Bree appeared, looking for bags to pack his things, maybe hoping to make him leave. The couple continued to argue.
I'm not leaving the kids with you. Borderline rage last night, and it's continuing to now. She figured out I was trying to take my kids. Give space between the two of us, not take the fucking kids away from her.
I got you.
I'm the primary caretaker of the kids, the only caretaker of the kids.
Colin told a very different story. He said that Bree was unstable and that he was planning to take the kids to his parents' place in Georgia, only to get a break from her for a little while, so they could all calm down.
So nobody pushing anybody, nobody trying to hit anybody.
Any reason why she would say maybe that you did batter her?
She has borderline personality disorder, and it's a textbook thing for people with that disorder to do, is make false allegations.
Bree did have a history of mental health issues. At the time of September 8th, she was on active duty in the Navy, but in the past, she'd been on limited duty due to a suicide attempt. This had resulted in a Baker Act proceeding for her to receive treatment. She was on medication and attended therapy sessions. Around the time of the shooting, according to her superior, she'd missed some of these sessions and had been skipping work. These were signs that she'd been acting erratically, and Colin was adamant that he was trying to de-escalate the situation. He made a statement to this effect and signed it. Whatever the truth, the police
Hey, what's
weren't
up, David?
getting
I
involved.
appreciate it. How you doing?
We can't stop you from doing anything. Y'all are married. Well, then we can stop you from being violent with each other.
The officers couldn't have known how ironic these words were. They left Colin and Bree to it. But at 5 p.m., there came another call. This time, it was Colin calling. He said the same thing, that they were having an argument that was getting heated.
Hey, my wife won't let me in my house. She's got mental health stuff going on. I was trying to leave for Georgia to get a break from her for me and the kids earlier today. And she called you guys. And I was talking to you guys. She took my photo ID, all my access to money and everything. And then took the kids inside and locked me out.
This wasn't just an argument. Now it seemed Bree was messing with Colin's property.
She was mad that I turned off the Wi-Fi last night, so she washed my laptop in the dishwasher. And that's kind of like the last straw.
She locked him outside the house right after the police left the first time. When the officers spoke to Bree again, she repeated what she'd said earlier, that Colin had been physically abusive towards her and was trying to take her kids away. She said he'd gone over her head to speak to her superiors in the Navy.
He had been in contact with my command. There's allegations of emotional abuse.
At about 2 p.m. that day, after the first 911 call, Colin had called her superiors.
He said that Bree had removed their access to the financial information, as well as he put his computer through the dishwasher. It was just a very general, casual conversation like we're having now. It wasn't escalated or anything. It wasn't any holler or screaming. It seemed very reasonable to me. When we look at a couple of things here, we call it spousal emotional abuse. The Navy says when you remove financial capabilities or you start causing damage to people's equipment or stuff, it's a form of emotional abuse.
The Navy defined what she'd done as emotional abuse. Bree's commanders asked Colin if he felt safe at home with Bree. He said he did. Then they called Bree to talk about the situation, and she said Colin was lying. They also asked her the same questions they'd asked Colin.
I asked her if she felt safe inside the residence. She said for her and her kids, and she said that she did.
But Bree was telling a different story to the police. She accused Colin of using her daughter to manipulate her, and she repeated that Colin had attacked her. But because she had no evidence, there was nothing the police could do.
If it turns physical at any point, somebody's going to have to go to jail. Okay? State law requires somebody to go to jail. If somebody gets physical and there's an evidence of it, somebody's going to jail. Okay, whether it's you, whether it's her, I don't know.
They were right. Somebody was going to jail, but somebody else would have to die first. The police left for what they hoped would be the final time, thinking that Colin and Bree would reconcile their differences for the sake of the kids. They couldn't have been more wrong. Just an hour later, at 6:22 p.m., Colin called 911 again. But this time, something was different.
Hi, you guys have been out to my house twice today, and then most recently, the deputy talked to my wife into letting me in the house, and then she locked me in the garage, and I tried to break my arm when I was trying to get back inside. She locked the door behind me. And then when I tried to...
A day of escalating domestic arguments had culminated in a fatal shooting. The autopsy report confirmed that he was shot in the back, what appeared to be an unprovoked attack.
Is there any doubt in your mind whatsoever the wounds in Mr. Turner's back are entrance wounds?
I have no doubt whatsoever.
Though Bree said it was Colin who was manipulating and abusing her, she locked him in the garage, so he had no escape when she came at him with her gun. The police already knew who'd killed Colin, but to get to the bottom of why, they took Bree in for an interview.
I talked to a lot of people tonight. Okay.
I feel like your voice is the most important, and I want to give you the opportunity to kind of explain or maybe give us a little bit of insight exactly what happened tonight.
Bree went over the day's 3 911 calls, repeating that the arguments had been over the children.
He said that sometime I tried to kill myself. A couple months ago that no judge in the world would give me custody of children. He threw me on the ground and said nobody would believe me because I was a crazy bitch.
But the police knew all this already. What they wanted to know was what had happened next.
So what happened after the law enforcement left the second time?
I don't remember. He was in the garage again, and I locked him out. He tried coming in, so I blocked the door, and he kicked my foot, and was trying to push to go to the door. To get my kids. And I took him out of the house, around back, to go to the neighbor's house, and I saw a kid to go 911. And to take the kids so I could go back and help him because I shot at him.
Bree painted a confused picture. Somewhere in the middle of this altercation, she'd shot her husband, and she knew what she'd done because she took the kids out of the house, knowing that they shouldn't be around. But by then, it was too late.
How many times did you shoot him, Bree?
Suspect is in custody.
Sure. So just to kind of...
I didn't mean to shoot him. It was at least twice I didn't mean to shoot him, but I did. And he said something, and just the look on his face. That's what I'm saying.
What was the look on his face?
He was gonna kill me.
Bree implied that it had been in self-defense, but the investigators questioned this.
Where did you get the gun? And you said you came to the door. Did you already have the gun in your hands? You already had the gun in your hand when you came to the garage door?
She couldn't answer this question, nor could she explain what Colin had been doing when she came to the garage with the gun in her hand. She didn't say he was holding a weapon or anything that could threaten her. The investigators already knew that he'd been on the phone to 911. All he was holding was his cell phone. They left her alone while she called her dad.
I mean, I've got to believe there was a reason it happened. Typically don't go around shooting people without a reason. Threatening you, or were you in the middle of an argument? Eric seemed to think he sounded like Colin was mocking you at the time. But I don't know.
Eric was Bree's brother. Her family was trying to piece together reasons why she could have done this. It wasn't immediately obvious.
This is so uncharacteristic. Why did you go for it? Why did you grab a gun? Was he going to hurt you?
I don't know.
What's that?
I don't know.
Unlike what she told the police investigators, that she felt like Colin was going to kill her, she admitted to her father that she didn't know, and she felt horribly guilty about it.
You really killed my best friend.
You did.
My husband, father of my kids. I just fucked up everybody. I killed him and fucked up everybody else's life.
So, was this self-defense or murder? This was a matter for the jury to decide. Bree Kuhn was brought to trial in September 2024. Alongside all the body camera footage and the recorded police interview, there were also shown pieces of evidence from Bree and Colin's phones in the time leading up to the killing. This included a cell phone video recorded by Bree right before the first 911 call.
So this is a back and forth thing. This is really what you want to do in front of the kids.
I want you to leave the house, or I can take you.
I want you to leave the house.
I don't want to be around you in front of the kids at all.
Okay, then leave.
I don't trust you with the kids.
I don't trust you with the kids.
Unstable.
You're on disability for being emotionally unstable.
Or for joint pain.
Colin had suffered a traumatic brain injury a few years back, the reason for his discharge from the Marines, which Bree's defense pointed to as a cause for irrational, unstable behavior. But with both parties having medical problems that potentially affected their judgment, this argument didn't hold sway. Bree's former partner, the father of her 12-year-old daughter, also testified. He'd received text messages from Colin at 12:55 p.m. on the day Colin was killed, right around the time Bree was recording the cell phone video. Colin said,
"Hey man, Bree's losing it. She ran my laptop through the dishwasher last night because I turned the Wi-Fi off. I'm planning on getting out of here with the little kids, but she's already told me she'll press charges if I take Kylie with me. I don't know what you can do legally, but I wanted to give you a heads up."
When Bree's ex responded with sympathy, Colin told him that Bree was on a downward trajectory, making bad choices. The ex replied at 6:09 p.m., just 13 minutes before the shooting. Colin said,
"It's gonna be worse before it gets better too. She's always told her stories about you, and I thought you sucked, but now that I think about it, she's crazy as hell and probably did the same stuff to you."
Bree's ex talked to her current husband in real time as Colin was locked in the garage, and then never responded again. But after the shooting, Bree called her ex and told him he needed to come and get their daughter.
I said, "Why do I need to come get my daughter?" And she said, "I just shot Colin." And I responded, I said, "Why?" And she said, I don't know.
Bree's actions towards her husband had been escalating. She'd cut him off from his finances, meaning he'd had to seek the Navy's support, and just the previous night, she'd destroyed his laptop. Locking him in the garage, no way out, was the latest in a long string of irrational behavior. But as his shock on the 911 call conveys, he couldn't have expected her to kill him. Bree originally planned to testify at her trial, alongside an expert witness who would tell the jury that Bree suffered from PTSD and spousal abuse. But in the end, she decided not to, after conferring with her attorneys for almost an hour. The defense's only witness was Bree's brother, Eric. Eric said she'd been on the phone with Bree on that fateful September 8th, and that he'd nearly heard the shooting itself.
What exactly did you hear in terms of a physical altercation? Can you describe it?
I heard things banging. I heard my nieces and nephews crying and yelling. I heard my sister saying she was being hit. I heard Colin yelling, and I heard, I wouldn't know how to describe it, things hitting the ground or things being hit, like bumped or something, like slams.
So things are being hit, and she's telling you Colin is hitting her, is that correct? You don't know what's going on. Obviously, you can't see what's going on, can you?
Eric had only heard the altercation. He hadn't seen it. He relied on what his sister was telling him.
Did Bree ever mention a gun to you?
I believe right at the end she said she was getting a gun to protect the kids, and I said, "Just leave." And I said he wouldn't hurt them. She said he would kill them, and that is when the call ended, when she shot him.
However, Eric hadn't mentioned the gun in his previous interviews with the police. The prosecution picked up on this discrepancy, which was enough to discredit his testimony in the eyes of the jury, and Bree's fate was sealed. After 4 hours of deliberation, Bree Kuhn was found guilty of first-degree murder. They found that it had been a conscious decision to kill her husband, not self-defense. She'd shot him in the back because he was threatening to take her kids away. This was murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without parole, the legal mandatory minimum for this charge. Her daughter now lives with Bree's ex, the daughter's father, and Colin and Bree's kids continue to grow up without their parents. Could the police have intervened earlier? Could this horrible outcome have been prevented? We'll never know. What do you think about this tragic story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, keep up with our channel, and we'll see you very soon on The Decoder. This is the moment that changes everything in a person's life. Their nearest and dearest, the love of their life, fighting for breath on the floor.
Please help me.
Get her on her head. Get on her head. Get on her head. How long did you find her here?
I don't know.
Did you find her here?
No, she started passing out.
This is Deborah DePinto. She was found unresponsive in the laundry room of a trailer park office in Boulder, Colorado in June 2018. Her husband, Scott Jones, was taken into the other room by the first responders. He was panicking.
This is my everything.
Oh, I understand.
I can't live without her.
Well,
I don't make it without her.
44-year-old Deborah was in a serious condition. She was taken to the nearest hospital, but there she was pronounced dead, and she hadn't died of natural causes. No, this nightmare scenario wasn't just a horrible accident. Here, on the decoder, there are no accidents. Instead, the investigation following Deborah's death would unearth arguments, threats, and a secret recording, with 2 young kids caught in the middle of it all. Kids who just lost their beloved mom.
Get away from me!
We had a homicide in Boulder last night. He killed her.
Featuring exclusive body cam footage, this is the tragic story of Deborah DePinto. It was June 18th, 2018 in Boulder, Colorado. In the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, it's a vibrant city with a lower violent crime rate than average across the U.S. Picturesque and full of culture, some people view it as the ideal place to raise a family. Maybe Deborah and her family had once thought so, but their life in Boulder was about to take a horrible turn.
What do you know right now?
that she fell in there and sounded like she went to her neck. Yeah, he wasn't.
She had a what to her neck?
He said that she did like this to her neck, like when she fell. But she fell in the laundry room, and then he started doing CPR on her.
This is what Scott Jones told the officers responding to his 911 call. He said that Deborah had fallen by accident in the laundry room of the office at the mobile home park, where the family had temporarily been staying in a cramped travel trailer. And initially, any story, including this story, could have been the case. In the chaos of first response, the emergency service's first priority is stabilizing a patient in critical condition. They didn't need to know how she got on the ground, only what they could do to save her.
She's my whole life. She's my whole life.
She needs you to be, she can hear you right now, okay? So she needs you to be strong for her, all right? So take a deep breath, okay? The best people that can possibly be working on her, okay? Does she take any opiates or heroin? You don't know? Is there a possibility? Has she ever used them?
Always hear about it. Smokes that damn pipe where they heat up the end and they stick it in that stuff.
The paramedics needed to know if Deborah was a drug user, so they could revive her if this was a possible overdose. Scott, who'd been with his wife for 20 years, said he didn't know. He implied that she smoked some sort of illicit substance, but he didn't know what it was. Maybe this was understandable, in the high stress of the situation, his wife being resuscitated in the other room. But it didn't help. Deborah was transported to the hospital. There she was declared dead. Out of the reach of medical help, it was now the police's turn to do something for her, to determine why and how she died. The couple had 2 children, a daughter, Mary, and a son. The son was only 10. Both kids had been there in the trailer park on June 18th, and so the cops faced the harrowing task of interviewing the newly motherless children. First, they talked to Mary.
What was going on today?
They were just kind of like arguing a little bit.
What were they arguing about?
I don't know.
Okay. Do they normally argue?
Mary painted a troubling picture of her parents' marriage. It was already bad enough to have argued with your spouse on the last day of their life, but what if it was related to her death?
So they were arguing outside, but do you know what it was about? Was it real serious or just like a normal argument?
Kind of sounded serious.
And though this couple argued frequently, this was worse than usual. The police needed to know more about how this argument had started and what the family's day had looked like before it all went so horribly wrong.
Okay, can you walk me through today, like how you got to this point and then we got called? So, where did you wake up today at?
I woke up at my house.
Okay.
And we drove down here.
This gentleman that was just standing here, you all live at that house?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he dropped us off here and then went to work.
Okay, and so she went to work.
And then after a few hours, she came back here.
Which was about what time?
I think around maybe 4 or 5.
4 to 5 p.m.?
Yeah.
Okay. And then?
Then they were arguing and I went to the car.
Deborah was a chef in food services at the University of Colorado Boulder. A dedicated mom with mouths to feed, she worked a lot, while Scott tended to take care of the kids. She'd left them alone with him while she went out to her shift, not suspecting that she'd never go out to work ever again. She got back in the late afternoon, and that's when she started to fight with Scott. The couple met in 1998 at a New Year's Eve party. Born in 1973, Deborah had just turned 25 when she met Scott, who was 28. They were from opposite ends of the country. Scott was from Dade County, Florida, and had moved to Colorado via North Carolina. Meanwhile, Deborah went to high school in California, but they hit it off right away. They shared a love for horses and the Colorado landscape, and they soon settled down together. Deborah was dedicated to her work as a chef, and she held multiple jobs over their time together, finally settling at the University of Colorado in 2008. Scott, however, had a far more patchy record of employment. His primary role in their family was to look after the kids. They'd recently moved into the trailer park from a place in the mountains, but the move was only temporary, and they'd left their dogs and their horses behind. Maybe this was a benign change of scenery, or maybe it was a clue to deeper troubles threatening their long-standing relationship. There seemed to have been strife between the two for several years. In 2014, Deborah shared a post on Facebook saying, "Relationship status, it's complicated," with the caption, "You ain't kidding." While perhaps this was only a fun meme, it seemed to suggest trouble to come. So the police also talked to the couple's previous neighbors back up in the mountains. They didn't have much good to say about Scott.
He was a stay-at-home.
But they have kids?
They had two kids, and he was kind of a pain in the neck. He had nothing to do but come down and kind of bother us all the time. But she was a very hard-working, good girl who got taken advantage of a lot of, I guess. She, like I said, she really put out to him and his expectations of the relationship.
Which were very strange.
She worked 2 jobs while he didn't work any. And
Deborah was definitely the breadwinner. Had this led to tensions in their relationship? Was this what they'd been arguing that fateful day when she came back from her long, tiring shift? The neighbors pointed the police to someone who might be able to shed more light on their dynamic. One of Scott's old friends from high school, a man named Gardner. Sometimes they worked manual jobs together, but these never lasted long.
On and off, he'd work with me. But he always tends to lose his job because he runs his mouth about things that are going on in his head.
Gardner implied that Scott was a man who lacked impulse control. If he was mad about something, you'd hear about it, and maybe not just hear about it. Was Scott the sort of man to do something violent about it too?
Touchdown.
The question became most pressing when Gardner talked about the couple's relationship and how they'd apparently been on the brink of splitting up for a long while.
Last time I talked to him was probably 2 weeks, maybe, about 2 weeks before the incident.
So that surprised you? I mean, just kind of curious myself.
He was talking about how that was all over and done with, and he was going to move on.
Oh, they had separated, and that was done. Yeah.
He was actually living in the trailer.
At the start of June, according to Gardner, Scott and Deborah had been separated. This was the reason behind the move into the trailer, that Scott was moving out from living with Deborah. But on June 18th, the family had all been in the trailer parked together. Had they reconciled, or were they about to reach breaking point? Gardner didn't know.
So the last he said to you about their relationship was they were done, split up, and it was over? And
yeah, and he was...
Never said anything about it. I'm going to kill that tree. Nothing like that? Or...
No.
Okay.
Gardner said that Scott had never vocalized any threats to Deborah's life, but this wasn't strictly true. A year earlier, Scott had been talking to one friend when that friend asked him what he'd do if Deborah left him. Clearly, they were having marital troubles even then, and Scott said it wouldn't happen, that he wouldn't let it happen. But what measures would he go to prevent it? He told another friend if she tried to leave him, then I'll whack her over the head and put her in the ground. And only a week before her death, he told someone else that he had friends that owed him favors and could have her taken out.
Suspect is in custody.
These threats were escalating and becoming more realistic. At the heart of it were Scott's possessive tendencies. Once, when they were separated that same year, she had a casual boyfriend over. When Scott arrived at the house, she told the boyfriend to hide in the armoire. Imagine you were trying to disentangle yourself from a possessive, controlling husband and he came to your house to find you with another man. You'd probably do the same. But the incident suggested that she was afraid of him. This, despite the fact that Scott had their 10-year-old son with him at the time. It seemed she didn't think it mattered whether there was a child present. If Scott was going to hurt her, he'd do it anyway. He knew she was seeing another man. He sent her barrages of text messages, often threatening. In one, he wrote, "God isn't happy with you committing adultery against me." Another said, "If you keep offending me, I will rebuke you just as the Lord will." And, most ominously, a text from Scott that read, "Ain't no cop or restraining order gonna stop what's coming. I don't care what happens to me at all. I am a man with nothing left to lose except my life. Nothing left to lose." He had 2 kids, but they didn't seem to matter to him if he couldn't keep a hold of his wife as well. All signs pointed to a vicious escalation, and Deborah walked right into the path of his jealous rage when she came back from work on June 18th. Their son witnessed the aftermath. Scott ran to him and shouted at him that Deborah wasn't going to make it.
He came in, like, screaming, and he was saying that he thought he was dead. So he brought me into the room, and she was just purple and cold.
Imagine bringing your 10-year-old son into the room where his mom lies dying, or already dead. What kind of father would do that? He was panicking, yes, but there was something more to it. And this would be revealed by something Scott hadn't taken into account when he started the argument with Deborah that day. A string of recent neighborhood thefts had left the owner of the trailer park to fit it with a surveillance system. This included a hidden camera in the trailer park office itself. Whatever had gone down between Scott and Deborah had been caught on camera, and his lies would be revealed.
I thought there was some common sense with you. Well, I thought you knew that you don't have somebody in there.
In this secret footage, Scott and Deborah can be seen coming into the trailer park office, clearly in the middle of a heated argument.
He doesn't know. I didn't. So that's why you told me.
They disappear into the laundry room, out of view of the camera, but not out of earshot. Deborah was tired from work, tired of fighting with her husband, and just wanted to get her laundry done so she could get out of there. But this wasn't an ordinary argument like all the others.
What are you doing over there? I'm getting one. Get out of here, Miss Common Sense. We're fighting for an hour over nothing. Rainy, I'm done. We are never going to be together. You're so cruel. Is that all you got, cruel and mean? You're getting my way. Weird. Who's in here? You're out of my way. No, whatever. Get away from me. Get away from me.
They had been together for 20 years. Scott had spent at least some of that time trying to control her. And when she told him to get away from her, something snapped. He couldn't leave her in the laundry room.
Oh, don't touch me, Scott. You can't force me to love you anymore. Get out of the way of the door. I'm trapped. Get away from me. You make me feel terrible. Get away from the door.
This awful sound was the sound Deborah made when Scott laid his hands on her, when he started to strangle her. Her life partner, the father of her children, attacked her. In a horrible betrayal, it was an attempt at exercising control over her for the final time. Then it was over, and Deborah lay unresponsive on the floor, and Scott realized what he'd done. He spent the next 47 minutes in the laundry room with her, not calling for help, even though the fog of rage must have lifted. No, instead he was planning how he could cover up what he'd done. The plan he settled on? Using his 10-year-old son as a cover story. He went to the boy and told him something had happened to his mom. In this surveillance footage, they can be seen going back into the office together. Perhaps in Scott's twisted imagination, he thought this would exonerate him. Why would he show his son, his murder victim, if he'd killed her? But he had.
He's gone, man. Oh my God. 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 Oh my God.
With Deborah declared dead, the hospital had to work out her cause of death. In an autopsy, the forensic pathologist determined she'd died of homicidal asphyxiation, but the police already suspected foul play. The day of her death, the kids were taken by Child Protective Services, and Scott was brought to the sheriff's department. During his interview, he maintained what he told the first responders, that Deborah had suffered some sort of medical issue.
I don't know, dude. Like, she went like this. She started going like that and stuff.
And even though their kids had witnessed them arguing, he maintained that their relationship was going to be okay.
Any discussions about your relationship, how things are going?
No. I love my wife and she loves me, man. And I had no idea how that went down like that today, dude.
Okay.
When she fell, yeah, she was face down. She fell. Because I'm tired. I want to get my kids home. And I've answered a lot of questions. I've been very cooperative.
Scott still believed that he was going to get away with it, but the officers knew that Deborah's death was suspicious and that Scott had been the only person in that room with her. They dug deeper.
Did something happen in that room that...
No way, man. No way.
I mean, I know accidents happen. If you're arguing, did something happen that went too far? Did she have a heart attack and die?
No, man.
Scott was still denying it. It was later that night that the police department would receive the evidence they needed to confirm what he'd done. The manager of the trailer park rang the police with the secret surveillance footage, and Scott's guilt seemed assured.
I hear him arguing for about 15 minutes, and then right at 7 o'clock, you hear like some screaming, and it just sounds like something bad is happening to her.
Okay.
And then he does not come out of the back 45 minutes.
Okay.
And then when he does, he's saying, oh my God, and he's kind of pacing.
Okay.
And I just got chills up in my spine. I couldn't watch anymore.
They showed this footage to Scott.
That doesn't prove anything, and you know that.
It shows us that something happened in that room. What's going on during that time?
No, man.
But Scott, you do know. This entire time you're still there with her. What are you doing? Are you looking at her? Are you trying to figure out what to do next?
Scott knew they were close to nailing him for the murder. In this interview footage, he can be seen getting increasingly worked up as he knows he's edging closer to being caught, so he asked for his lawyer. But a lawyer isn't a miracle worker. The police had him dead to rights, and the lawyer must have known that, because a few hours later, Scott confessed. And worse, he tried to justify what he'd done.
What happened?
I don't know. You think I am not kicking out of myself? You don't think I feel bad?
No, I know you are.
Nah, man, it wasn't good enough. I'm taking the kids. You ain't taking my kids. Threatening me with me, man. I mean, with me. Just couldn't stop being a monster. Just couldn't stop being cruel, man. You don't know what she's done to me. You don't know the cruelty she's done, man. I believe it makes a man temporarily insane for a minute, man, when you think about it. You know that? You don't know the troubles. You don't know the pain. You don't know what I've endured. You don't know what that woman put me through. You don't know what she did to my son. You don't know.
According to outside witnesses, it was Scott who'd made Deborah's life a living hell. But according to Scott, it was the opposite. He made Deborah out to be a cruel person who'd driven him to murder.
But I didn't think anything through. I didn't think about anything. I just reacted. I don't know what happened. I just I just reacted. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's nuts.
Scott was charged with murder, and he seemed to accept what he'd done. Perhaps it felt good to get it off his chest. He seemed concerned about his kids most of all, despite what he'd said to Deborah in a text a few weeks earlier that he had nothing to lose.
This is the heat of passion. You know, it's... You know, good people do bad things sometimes.
I want to see my kids again, Matt.
Well, no, I'm not sure.
Think I'll lose them? I don't want to lose them forever.
But he'd killed their mom. There could be no getting them back. When he was being driven away from the police department, he expressed his regrets.
That was me.
That was you. Well,
Care of them. I was the stay-home. All she did was abuse all of us. For many years. I just couldn't take it anymore. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry.
Suspect is in custody.
I was ready for this to happen. It was an accident. I didn't believe her anymore. She lies, 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 lies. Never stopped lying. But I wish I could take it back.
But was this regret genuine? A few months later, he made a phone call from prison. These phone calls are recorded, though inmates often forget this fact. Over the phone, he said, "She made it all go down," most likely referring to Deborah. He also wrote a letter to a son he had from a previous relationship, writing, "Now she is in hell. I bet she's a believer now. Oh well, too late. Something tells me Debbie doesn't think I'm a punk, explicative, anymore." The letter ended, "I bet she's sorry for being a lying, cheating, deceitful A. Now I bet she knows I was a good man. Now too late now." This painted a very different picture to his regrets expressed to the officers in the squad car. No, instead he was almost gleeful about what he'd done. His trial took place in December 2019. The defense presented no witnesses, but it still took 10 hours for the jury to come to a verdict. All but one jury members were convinced of his guilt, with one holdout. But the conflict was only between first and second-degree murder. The difference between the two verdicts was whether Scott had planned to kill Deborah or done it on the spur of the moment. The threatening texts and statements to his friends implied the former, though his interviews made it seem that he'd killed her on impulse, and ultimately, the jury were convinced of the latter. They found Scott Jones guilty of second-degree murder, as well as one count of child abuse for bringing his young son into the room to see his dying mom. He was sentenced to 48 years in prison, the maximum sentence allowed for the charge of second-degree murder. He was also sentenced for 1 year on the count of child abuse, and a motion was granted preventing him from having any contact with his and Deborah's kids to protect their mental and emotional well-being. The children are now being raised by Deborah's family out of state, while Scott remains in prison.
Suspect is in custody.
What do you think about this twisted story? Was it premeditated or not? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, keep up with our channel, and we'll see you very soon on The Decoder.
A woman arrested and charged with murdering her missing roommate whose body has never been found. I have the disturbing case out of Florida and why police say Giselle Victoria Gonzalez is a killer. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Giselle Victoria Gonzalez is in jail in Orlando, Florida, and she's charged with murdering her roommate more than 2 years ago. 2 days after Christmas in 2022, Giselle actually reported her roommate, Rooney Medina Pacheco, missing to Orlando police. Rooney, who was 42, was from the Dominican Republic, but staying with Giselle while she was in the U.S. They were actually both from the Dominican Republic. Rooney's family was also concerned because they hadn't heard from her, and they said that was unusual. They became very concerned. Police said Giselle told detectives a week before Rooney disappeared they actually got into a disagreement about money. Rooney allegedly had $3,000 in cash that went missing. At first, she thought it was misplaced, possibly in boxes to be shipped to the Dominican Republic. But then on Christmas Eve, Rooney wanted to talk with Giselle about whether she took the money. Police believe Rooney disappeared the next day. During the investigation, detectives said they determined the movement of Rooney's phone matched Giselle's location and movements following Rooney's disappearance. Detectives said evidence showed Giselle left the apartment on December 26, 2022, and went straight to Lowe's. Police reviewed surveillance footage, which recorded Giselle entering the store alone, and she bought a chainsaw. Detectives then determined through bank records that Giselle went to Walmart and bought trash bags, dishwashing gloves, and Dawn dish soap. Based on statements Giselle made to investigators and other evidence, they seized her phone and searched her apartment. According to an affidavit, highly incriminating searches were discovered on Giselle's phone. On Christmas Day, police said Giselle searched which side of the body the aorta is on, followed by Home Depot and Walmart. Then hours for Home Depot. There was also a search for Amazon, search for a mini electric saw, prices for an electric saw. Then the day after Christmas, police said Giselle searched for Home Depot, Cimarron Boulevard. What do they do with the trash in the U.S.? What do they do with the trash in Orlando? In an affidavit for an arrest warrant, police said they found dried blood in several areas of the apartment the two shared, and testing confirmed the blood was Rooney's. At this point, the evidence is just stacked against Giselle. But Giselle took advantage of this and moved out of her Florida apartment. Fast forward to last November, Orlando police determined that Giselle Victoria Gonzalez had moved to Hartford, Connecticut, and they go there to get a DNA sample from her. Gonzalez was taken into custody and questioned. According to court documents, Giselle's story changes significantly from what she originally told police. According to the document, Giselle said she admitted to being involved in a physical fight with Rooney, rather than an altercation through her bedroom door, as she had previously stated. She said Rooney slapped her, at which time they both began punching each other and pulling each other's hair. Rooney was also hitting her with her purse. The fight started in the hallway by the bathroom and then moved all over the apartment. At some point, the fight ended and Giselle went into her bedroom. She exited her bedroom approximately 10 minutes later and Rooney was gone, but her cell phone was on the dining room table. Now, this is a big difference from Giselle saying there was a disagreement a week earlier and that she didn't see Rooney on Christmas Day. Officers decided they had enough probable cause to charge Giselle Victoria Gonzalez with the murder of Rooney Medina Pacheco. She is charged with second-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and grand theft.
You speak English? A little? Okay. That's okay. They'll write it down, lo escriban. ¿Me lo guardan? Porque yo no, esto solo no... Sí, te lo guardan. Y te lo escriban.
I thought I was going to run out of juice right there, y'all.
Need more Spanish fluent.
Thought I was going to run out of that.
A Spanish-speaking officer arrives to translate and help with the booking process.
That's my career high right there. 95 yards. 94 yards. How long it just was. Look, I'm about to get caught and shit.
Victoria González, mi apellido. ¿Y dónde viene Giselle? Mi nombre. ¿Ese es su nombre también? Mi nombre es Giselle, primer nombre.
95 yards.
Segundo apellido Victoria González.
I want to tell you about Upside. It's a free app that gets you cash back in your own account. But since her disappearance, there has been activity on her Facebook. On January 7th, approximately 13 days after Rooney went missing, her profile and cover photo were updated. At first glance, this may not seem like a big deal, but her friends and family definitely noticed. To discuss all of this, I want to bring in David Sarney. He's a retired NYPD detective. So David, one of my big questions here is the fact that Rooney's blood, they say it's all over the apartment. I mean, it sounds like a horrific scene. There were efforts to clean up the scene, according to the blood spatter expert. Yet it took almost 2 years to make an arrest in this case. Why do you think that was?
Well, again, thank you for having me. When this case started originally, you're dealing with primarily just a missing persons report. And you have the roommate reporting her roommate, in a sense, her friend missing. They had nothing to go on at that time. as they're going through the progression of this investigation, they're noticing inconsistencies in her story, inconsistencies on to why she went missing. And again, people can go missing all the time. It's about the circumstances in which that person goes missing. Apparently, she's never done this before, so they put a missing persons, an NCIC out there, a kind of an alert. As they do this investigation, they're noticing her story is changing as she goes along. And we've also seen in the past that many times these missing persons who are reported to the police, the person who reports them are usually ones responsible for that. So you kind of put her on the radar automatically, but the story becomes more and more inconsistent as this investigation goes forward. She states herself, she puts herself as the only one in communication with her at the last moment. She says she doesn't see her, but she's there, she's present with her. So now you have to deal with, if she's the only one who saw her, how do we go further on this investigation? And as they talk to her, they talk to the missing's family, they're seeing a pattern develop, that maybe this isn't just a missing, there's something else to it.
So Rooney's son said that he talked to her in a video call on December 25th. So we have these kind of timestamps. We have these pretty concrete things that tell us when Rooney was last heard from or seen alive. One thing that was pretty concerning to me was the fact that a neighbor heard what they thought was screaming between 10 and 11 a.m. This is what they thought. And it sounded muffled, almost as if somebody's mouth was being covered, but it didn't sound like it was coming from a TV.
You pull and don't even block the fucking line.
Maybe this person thought, oh, it's domestic violence, I'm not getting involved in this, or something like that. But you have all of this circumstantial evidence. Then you have her phone, Rooney's phone, moving with Giselle's phone, and then the phone just shuts off. It's very, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence here, but then they don't have a body, but they have her purchasing a chainsaw and trash bags. I mean, it's very gruesome. It sounds like she probably maybe tried to dismember Rooney and disposed of her in the trash.
Yeah, but with the research that they were doing on the phone and on the missing person's friend, the reporter's phone, they're starting to see a couple of things. And that's a timestamp. The benefit of talking to this, the reporter in this case, Giselle, they're getting detailed information. They're able to lock her into a story, as to where she was from A to B to C to D. They get that into play. So now you have,
big fellas.
You have to disprove the lie with facts. They're finding facts out in this case, which was beneficial. And they do a search on her phone. They look at her phone and they see things about purchasing items. They see, about talking about an aorta. How do you deal with an aorta injury? So it looks like with the blood spat, and this gives you an idea. If you're seeing that work on the phone, the workup on the phone, you now start looking at the fact that this person might have been killed at home, at the residence, compound with the fact you have witnesses or ear witnesses in the case, that there was a screaming match or something that went on. So you can lend to the point that probable cause of the incident took place in the house, thereby getting the search warrant and thereby doing the analysis to find the blood. Even though she tried to clean it up, and you could see that she tried to, even based on the work that she did about cleaning up locations and things like that, how you dispose of a body, it lends more to that probable cause warrant. So it takes time to get to deal with this blood. And you're talking about an apartment. So you're going from the front door of the apartment all the way to wherever the bedrooms are, bathrooms and everything. So it takes some time. And they're fortunate enough to find that she was not able to clean up the scene as she thought she did.
Yeah, I mean, the blood spatter expert, Stuart James, and he's been around a long time. His description of what he believes happened is very disturbing. I mean, anytime somebody is killed, it's disturbing, but he describes kind of an up and down, kind of downward movement. It almost sounds like somebody was stabbed potentially. That's what he paints, a very gruesome picture, and he describes, an effort to clean up. The scene was damaged, at least the forensics, and that there's dried blood all over the place. I mean, it's blood by the entertainment center and all kinds of things. I mean, it's a very gruesome scene that he describes.
Yeah, the blood, one thing about people, I don't even realize, there's a lot of blood in you. And as much as you try to clean up that in the situation, especially with this, it looks like it was possibly a stabbing. Given the fact they ordered, she's probably trying to stab her in the chest. So it kind of lends credence to the circumstantial evidence of the plunging and the screaming and the fighting. And not only that, the irritated voice that apparently answers the phone later on that evening. So you're seeing a lot of things come into play. Like I said, blood is hard to get rid of. It really is. I mean, people think you could do a cleaning of it. The only way you might have gotten away with it is probably burning the house down in a sense, but that didn't happen because she was residing there. And she thought about the murder. She thought about how to rid the body. But like most people and most first-time type of murderers, in a sense, they're not as smart as they think they are. They don't reach, the cleaning up is a lot harder than they think it is.
I'm glad you brought up that phone call. Rooney's mom said she called her phone later Christmas Day, and a woman answered who wasn't Rooney, and the voice sounded agitated and hung up. So I think investigators, the inference there is that it was Giselle answering the phone.
Yeah, that's what apparently is, because they did the geolocation on the phone on the missing cell phone, which shows the tracking of that phone going pretty much wherever wherever that Giselle went. That Rooney's phone was with her the whole time, it seems, and then eventually dies out. So the work the detectives did in the beginning made it very important near the end to develop the circumstantial evidentiary case. And you don't have a body. That's the one thing people are concerned about. But there's so much evidence that was obtained by the cell phone searches, by the analysis on the phone, the apartment itself,
I got 2 undefeated
the canvas of the area, the speaking to the note to the family members, to possible witnesses, ear witnesses, or eyewitnesses, in this case, ear witnesses. So you've seen something beneficial in this case. It really is a very thorough investigation. And that's what we have to understand, is detectives have to be very thorough with these cases. They're not slipshod. One of my bosses said, you can't broad brush things. It's no longer a paintbrush, it's a scalpel. And that's what this took place. Very detailed work in this. Because now, once they realized that this person doesn't normally disappear, we always look at it as possible homicide case.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of detail. I mean, there's the affidavit is very detailed. And Giselle totally changes her story later on and talks about how they had this physical altercation, and she admits to stealing the money that Rooney thought she stole from her. So, I mean, it's just an incredibly, really gruesome, sad case. Do you think, is there any hope that they can recover her body? We don't know if she was indeed disposed of in the trash, but that was the research that was done on Giselle's phone. Do you think there's any hope that they are able to recover anything?
The only thing you maybe be able to get is maybe an allocution as to from the defendant in this case, where the body was disposed of, because you're dealing with 2 years now, and when it happened, they didn't know she was missing. And could you look back and do a search of the garbages? I don't know how the garbage works in that community, because sometimes that's a way of doing it. But they had no reason to look at it at that time, because she was just reported missing. They didn't automatically, let's go in the garbage, because there was nothing to detail that she would be murdered. She would have been murdered or disappeared in a very suspicious way. It was a suspicious missing, but nothing led to that type of investigation. So 2 years down the road, unless maybe the defendant will say something as to what she did with the body, because they weren't able to recover the saw, or the possible weapon she utilized to kill Rooney. This is going to be maybe part of the trial process and maybe the conviction.
Yeah, it's a really horrific, sad case. Thank you so much, David Sarney, for coming on to talk about it. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Take care.
And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.
A Mississippi man with a criminal history was locked up in Tennessee for kidnapping and beating his girlfriend.
So look, bro. Tommy G went to the Hoovers. You know what I'm saying? Tommy G done went to the Hoovers. When I seen this video, I'm like, bro, you mean to tell me Tommy got a plug? Anyway, we finna get into that. Y'all gonna get y'all some Ghost Gang merch ASAP. It's almost gone. And I do appreciate everybody that went to go get it within the last couple weeks, because as soon as I dropped it, it's been going like, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, if my voice sound like it's a little hoarse, it's because it is. I did a live stream last night, which was one of my longest reactions I did, which was crazy. I ended up losing my voice during the video for the first time, which is crazy. And yeah, so it's a little hoarse right now. But we finna get straight into this video, man. It's Tommy G up in the Hoovers. Which one though? The 5 foes? I mean the 5 deuces, the 7 foes? LAPD on that boy? Yeah.
What gang affiliation done the most gangsters historical shit in Los Angeles? I'm gonna tell you the Hoovers. Tell you the RC don't mean crip, it mean criminal. And nah, we ain't siding with the Bloods. We everybody killing. We CK, we crip killing and blood killing.
I heard what the term EVK means, and it sounds kind of intense. Are we doing something wrong, though, officer?
Get against the fence, big dog.
Tommy G always the first one to... Hey, Tommy G, calm down, bro.
Did I say something that was...
Hey, you white, bro, so you get a pass. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you, you white and you out of town, you get a pass. If you was black and you didn't bang, but they know you from LA, they assume you already know what that means. They would have fired on you. Tommy G would have got socked out at the park, bro.
Yes. You want a shot?
I'll do a shot.
That's some alcoholics, bro. Tommy G, Brandon Buckingham, and all they cameramen is some alcoholics, bro.
The Hoover Criminals, the gang that beefs with everyone in Los Angeles. With names like the Bloods, Crips, Mexican Mafia, and MS-13, it's safe to say gang culture flourishes in South Central LA. And today, we cover the Hoover...
That ain't the 5 deuces. I was born in a... We gonna get there, bro. We gonna get there. I think this area don't look familiar to me.
Hoover criminals who proudly claim themselves as EBK, or Everybody Killer, a title that invites a lot of gang warfare. If you track this gang from the 1960s, you'll find that conflict is consistent in their history. They originated as the Hoover Groovers, but became the Hoover Gangster Crips after a murder of young leader Little Chocolate shifted alliances, and they later adopted their present name, the Hoover Criminals, after yet another murder and falling out from rival sets. One of the group's most famous members is Freeway Ricky Ross, who in his era was legendary for being perhaps the most successful seller of crack cocaine in the country, and the influence behind rapper Rick Ross's persona. We were invited by Hoover rappers Poke and Jay Heartless to a barbecue deep in Hoover territory. We meet them, we encounter a blitz from the LAPD, and I say a joke that made things really scary for a second. But first, folks, a quick word from our sponsor.
It wasn't no joke.
The sponsor of today's video is My Heritage. They send you a DNA kit in the mail, and you get to figure things out. And it's a really quick process. It comes to your house.
The baby mama
like
killer.
This. A matter of seconds.
Yeah, I know this supposed to be, and this ain't for no baby squad, the little DNA like that. I know it's supposed to be like your Ancestry.com types. But, oh, my bad, Tommy G. Hey, but anyway, this Heritage Squad, I'm gonna keep it real. I don't wanna know who my family is. Like, who wanna find a long lost family unless you just like, nobody, you need some help. Not even like that, but y'all know more family, more problems. They say more money, more problems. More family, more problems, bro. As soon as they find out you can help them or you got somebody, they call you, hey cousin, hey, like my boy, my sis, I just met you. Man, calm your ass down. What you mean, yo? I don't want to know, bro.
For you to have your sample ready and into the mail. And one key thing to note is their privacy policy makes it so that they cannot sell or license your genetic data. That's important. So I'm curious what I'm going to learn. Maybe I'll learn I can say a certain word or two that I didn't think I could say before. Who knows? Let's see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the results are here.
You white. We already know that, bro.
64% Scandinavian, 17% Irish, Scottish, and Welsh, 10% Greek. I honestly feel like they got a different sample than mine because I don't think this is possible. And 7% English. That could be right. This is supposed to show me who I'm directly related to. Apparently, a guy named Ronald Marshall. Hey, yeah, pal. See, apparently.
As soon as y'all put y'all information up in there, bro. What's your name, Michael Jones? Your number gonna be right there. Somebody gonna call you like, what's up, cuz? You gonna be like, who the fuck is? Oh yeah, just from the heritage.com. We cousins. Bitch, get off my phone, bro. Ain't no cousins around. I mean, my nigga, you're not doing that.
We are related.
We're not
Let
doing
me call
that.
my mom. Is this possible? This experience with MyHeritage has brought more questions than answers, but I think it's cool because now I'm on another journey to discover something about myself. And use my code TommyG or scan the QR code for free shipping. Now that we've learned about me and my DNA, it's time to go learn about the Hoover criminals. Let's head to Los Angeles. So we're going to visit one of the most historical street gangs of all time. So much of the roots of rap and hip-hop culture stem from the area that we're in, and same with gang structure in America. One thing about tough places to grow up is, done right, they can also have very deep senses of community. That's what I'm hoping I find with these Hoovers. What's up, fellas? I'm Tommy. Nice to meet you. You guys using seasoning on this shit?
Yeah, we season.
Just checking.
Hey, he just checking because Tommy G, we all know white people don't use no seasoning. He like, what? This supposed to taste like meat and bread. That's it, bro. We ain't got no. That's wild. And they having a barbecue.
Yeah.
We have seasoning, bro.
Adobo?
Everything is the real deal Holyfield over here. You know what I'm saying? Over to the V line. It's the VV. You know, Vermont District, Over Street, 50 to the hundreds. You know how we do it. You know, we stay.
They having a. Hey, fun fact about the 7-4 Hoovers, bro. Fun fact about the 7-4 Hoovers. They hood days on the 4th of July. You know what I'm saying? And I was thinking, like, they hood days, it'd be, like, it's like a win-win, right? It's like a win-win, or if your hood day was on a different day, boom, on the 3rd of July, it's going up, all the homies outside, whoop-de-whoop-whoop. On the 4th of July, all the homies are still outside, right? So when you have your hood day on the 4th of July, it's like a win. Bro, let me tell you this. I grew up in the Hoovers, right? Not grew up, I was born in the Hoovers. You know what I'm saying? All the way till I was like 11 years old. At the Bud Elementary, John Mayer Middle School. Right there on 55th in between Hoover and Vermont. Right behind Young's Market. The first house behind Young's Market, bro. I know how the Hoovers get down with their with their hood days. With that being said, bro, it be bitches, squad. It be so many hoes at these things. I be like, what the fuck is this? Like, where do all that? Cause you don't see all, when they outside, if you go to the hood, bro, anybody hood, you gonna see mostly niggas outside, probably like 2 or 3 bitches. On the hood day, bro, you be like, is these hired model bitch? Like, where all the hoes come from? This is just a regular barbecue. I see it because it will be a million times packed in this shit right
Flexing,
here,
man. Oh, they call me
Way
Baby
more
MD, aka the Baniac. You know what I'm saying?
The Baniac?
Yeah, the Baniac. You
That's
know
a crazy nickname.
That's the real deal Holyfield out here, though. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to our session, though. We're gonna get y'all a whole little tour how we get down over here. You know what I'm saying?
You're just putting a grill together, getting some food ready to go.
We do all that. You know what I'm saying? We live and direct over here, though. You feel me? But it's dangerous over here, though.
They didn't even want to put the grill together at the park. At the house. They did it at the park, bro. What
Investigators are on scene here of a triple shooting in South LA that claimed 2 lives.
Teenage boy is dead after a shooting. We have learned a person of interest has been detained tonight.
Key news in South LA. A 14-year-old boy is among 4 people wounded in a drive-by shooting.
But at the same time, it's full of talent, full of good potential, special. You know what I'm saying? All that.
We just got back from Tijuana yesterday. You guys ever been?
It was at Hong Kong.
We were in Zona Norte. It was good. We kind of met with
I need that video too. I'm gonna drop that.
A guy that kind of ran his little area, but he gave back a lot to the community. You know what I mean? You speak any Spanish? Give the people a little language lesson.
Estás aquí en el barrio de los Hoovers, pero yo soy de la Gardena 13. Yeah.
The Hoover criminals are a collection of mostly black sets across LA, but to an outsider, it can be tough to track who is on whose team. For example, the orange-wearing Hoover criminals beef viciously with most Crip sets, but they do have an alliance with the Five Deuce gangster Crips that oftentimes sport blue. To add further confusion, they have also joined forces with at least one Mexican gang, 13 Gardena, which you see mentioned here. The reality is street politics are ever shifting, so to a person not from here, it can feel impossible to know whether you would be in a friendly or enemy territory. But to a guy in the streets, it's something you know like the back of your hand.
I'm Pope, bro.
Hey, nice to meet you, brother.
I went to the front looking for you. I didn't know you was gonna...
He came through the back way.
Yeah, I told him to come through the back way.
I saw a couple cops in the front, by the way.
It's all good. They always be trying to babysit type shit.
Are they normally there, or are they here because you're here, you think? Like you guys
They
are?
be having little events and shit cracking up here for the kids and shit, for the youth. So they be just watching over. So, you know, a lot of shit be happening over here, so it's freaky.
I listened to like one thing on YouTube on my drive here, and I was Whack 100 being like,
them niggas took a blue rag, put it down, said our C don't mean Crip, it mean criminal. Our rag is orange, and now we ain't siding with the Bloods. We everybody killer. We CK, we Crip killing and blood killing.
I heard what the term EBK means, and it sounds kind of intense. Everybody killer.
Everybody killer. Everybody killer for sure.
That's a lot of.
See, the Hoovers, bro. The Hoovers, bro. They run all the way from the 50s to the 100s, you know what I'm saying? Then spread it all the way across the country. But we just talking about LA, squad. These niggas are so big, then they got the trouble. They so big, bro, they able to do that. They able to say everybody killer. They got them. It's like a family, like your family, I don't fuck with nobody, bro. You live in these apartment buildings and it's just y'all ain't need no homies. Anything go down, go get your brothers. They don't need nobody, bro. So we everybody killer. They so huge in LA, man.
People, everybody?
Everybody's everybody.
I ain't even gonna lie to y'all, you know what I'm saying? This is how we do it over here. Hey, our big
Learn
homie
the
raised us
links,
right, you know
nigga.
what I'm saying? It's so much that we know that we don't show, but y'all learn later on in life. You know what I'm saying? I hope all my youth make it out.
I'm about to grab one of these Hoover links.
That's what I said.
This is the first.
But they call him a Hoover link. LA slang gang culture is one of a kind, bro. Not a high link, is a Hoover link, bro.
Correct,
That's what
that
it is.
isn't afraid to eat a link, you know what I mean?
Oh, God. You
I've been to sections, I've been to like hoods in Texas where they're afraid to eat. They have to eat that in the privacy of their house. Message to the people, don't be afraid to eat a hot dog or a bratwurst.
It's not.
Hey, Tommy G, what the fuck is a bratwurst? That's a hot link, squad. Hey, check this out. Look. Me and Tommy G. Look, you ain't gave me no NDA or nothing, bro, so I don't know. Nah, but look, me and Tommy G, bro, we gonna go to the Arizona desert for 24 to 48 hours to survive, right? Survive in the Arizona desert. I say I have to say this, bro. We gonna need something to eat. I'm gonna bring hot links, and that's exactly what they are, hot links. I can't wait. This is about to be hilarious, squad. He said a bratwurst. That's only for little kids that don't want it. I'm telling you now, if you don't eat a hot dog, if you eat a hot dog from the side, you suspect. That pause in whatever y'all want to call it, bro. That means on your mind, you thinking that you eating a dick, so you're gonna eat it from the side. That's suspect, squad. Eat that damn hot dog the right way. Internet got y'all losing y'all marbles, bro.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. I with them.
Yeah. We need to stop getting all weird about nothing, you know what I mean? So we approve this message. So one other thing I'm noticing right away about the squad is it seems like guys are a little bit older. Like some of the guys, like I'm meeting a lot of really young squads lately. There's not.
We can call them right now.
No, they're the
was young
ones.
No, we the wild.
Now they old.
But there's not that many. Okay, there's not that many OGs anymore. Like a lot of times, I go to hoods and I meet an OG. The OG is 20 years old. That's how. That's how.
Right out the cut.
They got a little wild one right here.
Yeah.
You're the wild man.
What's he do?
Why do they call you the wild one?
Shooter.
I squab everybody on off.
You say you squab?
Fight everybody.
Oh, okay. You like to go down. You like to.
That's sad.
Is Nuck if you buck a term around here?
That.
Bro, that's some.
So how's high school treating you?
That's some throwback, not 2003 types. Nuck if you buck. That's some South terminology, bro. Don't say that.
Good.
Do you fight kids at school?
Yeah, I go to Alliance.
Have you gotten expelled for fighting?
Nah.
Damn, I would have edited that out, Tommy G. I would have edited that out, Tommy G. My guy right here, man. He's 7'4" Hoover, right? Right. He say he a squabbler, right? Right. I bet you he on Instagram, gang banging, dissing enemies and all that type of shit, right? But I stereotype squad, y'all know I do. And this is a good kid, bro. He is. I know LA culture. By him saying I go to Alliance, now you on Tommy G YouTube video. It's already at what, 1.2 million views as I'm reacting to this. You got thirst niggas like, oh, he go to Alliance? Oh yeah? Try to camp out the school like they. I would have edited this out, squad. And this ain't to Tommy G, ain't to his editor. They just don't know, man. But yeah, I would have to get this up out of here. Just that last
Who just got out yesterday? He's in like 5 years.
What was your first day?
Bro, you violating your parole, fool. How you just get out yesterday and you on Tommy G video today? This your first day out. You are your probation? You ain't supposed to be around no gang members. I'm already knowing you on. Or did you get out on probation? I'm just talking, but I'm assuming. I am. I'm assuming. Bro, you better take your ass home. This got 1.2 million. Somebody gonna tell on you, bro. And you ain't even gonna know who your probation officer gonna call. Just be like, hey, what you been doing? Nothing, man. I just got out, man. Oh, yeah? Been around anybody? Nah, my family. Any friends, any gang members? Nah. Then he gonna email you this video. Like, what the fuck is this?
You day out like?
My first day out was today.
What do you have? Just a cookout?
Actually with the lugs, with the fan. You know, niggas out lugs, feel me? Niggas out tag folks.
What's the thing you're happiest about being out? Like, okay, hey, I get my first warm shower. I got my first hug from my mom. Like, what is the thing that you're most looking to? Is it hard to find at your first day out?
How? Everybody got a bitch already.
Are you on Tinder or you're just in the neighborhood?
It's all around. I'm all around. My name D-Mac. I get around.
Big horn dog from the set.
You're a horn dog?
Oh, this a vlog, bro. Oh, you got me feeling myself on this vlog.
74th Street.
There they go.
Are they running in here? There's a chase.
There ain't no chase. They finna harass y'all.
What the f? Yeah, that's doing too much, bro.
Are we doing something wrong, though, officer?
Get against the fence, big dog.
What crime are we suspected of committing?
It's harassment.
Sir.
What's happening, man? What's happening?
What crime do you suspect?
Get against the fence.
For what reason?
I like Tommy G. Every time he doing the vlog, the police end up pulling up, right? And he the one that step in front of the police. I think he know. Well, not I think. He know he white. But I know he know that him stepping up and being who he is, he'll probably defuse the situation because they just gonna harass the black people like they do every day, bro. But guess what? We vlogging this. We documenting this, nigga.
On a little vlog, man. That's all we doing. You guys have no privilege. You guys are drinking in public. You guys ain't doing nothing. You guys are doing nothing, boy. What you see?
What the f this, dude? We're literally just chilling. You guys want a couple of links and we call it a day? We have some food for you, officer, if you want some.
We ain't doing nothing wrong.
Take a link, bro.
You guys have a permit?
No, but they let us watch our meeting.
You see what the police bullshit the police be on, bro? It's so crazy that even my kids today don't even know the police are basically community representatives. That's what their job's supposed to be. See the old lady walking across the street, help her. See people at the park playing basketball, you got a little downtime, hoop with them in your uniform. Show them that you're a part of the community, not against the community. My nigga just asked them, do they have a permit to barbecue? Come on, bro. You serious, man? Leave these fools alone. They ain't hurting nobody. They just haven't. They ain't doing nothing to nobody.
Get out of there in there. A permit to be alive and to eat food?
There's no permit to be in no park. This is a park. It's a public park.
This is a public park. This is insane.
Everybody like ID on me. Yeah, my boy is fresh out today. He came in contact with the
Is it safe to say that these guys aren't invited to the barbecue?
Yeah, they not invited.
Is this a normal occurrence here?
You need to take your
Is
ass
it?
home. He up there laughing and shit. You need to go home, bro. I wish that I would call it. Why was you at that park? Up there laughing and shit and the police up here. You just got out today. Nigga, I know if I just got out today after doing 5 years, I see the police. I am in the house for 5 years. Fuck. He up there, man, this ain't cool. I ain't going to no hood day or no hood barbecue fresh out. I don't care how many stripes I got, how known I am, who big homie I am, who little homie I am, what I did in the pen, what I did on the street, what I did on what I'm about to do in the future. Whatever I said in jail, that was cap. I'm out now. I'm going home. Fuck. I'm going home. Yeah, niggas got me at the hood barbecue on my first day out. I'm not doing this shit. I'm going home.
We're eating food? Is this glizzy illegal or what's going on here?
Why are you here, sir? You already know I am. Why? You already know I am. Why, man?
I would understand if we were doing something causing a ruckus, but we're literally grilling food. What's the issue?
Why y'all here, though? Why
Looking at cars.
They work here.
Don't you guys have to state what the probable cause is to do shit like this?
Smoking marijuana here in the park.
Is that legal in California?
Yeah, at the park it is. At the park it is.
So then what's the issue? You just said it was legal.
Illegal.
Oh, illegal at the park.
I'm sorry, that's what I thought that's what you're asking.
Okay.
Illegal. If you're gonna have a function, you have to run it by the park director, get a permit. You got to do something by.
So here's the thing: if there was serious shit going on here, like someone just caught a body right here, I get it. You guys need to roll deep, but the whole permit for a barbecue is. That's not protect and serve, and I'm a fan of police. I actually think police.
Exactly what I was just talking about, Tommy G. You right on. That is not protect and serve. Y'all niggas up there harassing the community, bro. They ain't doing nothing to nobody. Like, y'all up here barbecuing and having fun. That mean y'all not shooting and killing each other. How we supposed to do our job? They don't like that, bro. They don't like that. This is trash.
Police are okay if they're good and accountable.
And you're entitled to your opinion, and that's perfectly fine.
But rampaging a barbecue when we're not being mean to everyone's having a good chill time.
He need to get demoted off the dribble. Hey, he need to get demoted. Hey, you hear me? Oh boy, that Phil need to get demoted. You know, sis, on God, you know, look. Ooh, she knows, she laughing. You know, too. He needs to get demoted off the dribble.
They're cooking hot dogs and hamburgers.
Yeah, and there's bags of weed, smoking weed, and where are the kids?
California.
It doesn't matter, but the kids are literally just on the other side of the pool.
What's the point of this?
This is the point that obviously there's rules that are in order.
Yeah.
Only reason he explaining this to, like, self to Tommy G right now is because he's. And yeah, this don't stand for West Coast at this moment, bro. That's the only reason he giving them a full explanation. Anybody else, bro, get the fuck up out my face before you go to jail. Like, I'm gonna give you one more chance to get up on my face. That's how they talk to you. Yep, you still talking? Turn around, you under arrest. Promise you, bro.
Just follow them. That's it.
The cop telling us we all need to get against a fence for what? For eating a.
I didn't hear that, but
But that's overkill.
I know.
And the other thing is our tax money. I don't live here, but people's tax money funds this, and to have this directed at something that is an innocent community event, I get it. I know you're in a tough spot. I have respect for cops in general, but I feel like this is petty. I don't think this is enough police. I think they need the SWAT team and the FBI for this, because this cookout's getting outrageous, dude.
Yeah, man, it's the cookout, the Hoover.
I think it's because of whoever did the seasoning on the links. That's why they came, dude.
I didn't season nothing. I put the links on. I told him, he didn't even season. He threw it. No, it ain't.
No, is this illegal?
No, it's legal.
Yeah, that's what I thought. California, right?
That's why they ain't touch it. He know he fucked up.
That's the good shit. Excuse me, sir. I actually like your mustache. I'm trying to grow one kind of like it, too. How long did that take you?
A couple weeks.
Okay. What about we just make you guys some hamburgers, we shake hands, we call it a day, and then we...
That's not the problem. The problem is that the barbecues here is not permitted. People are smoking, drinking in public at a community park. Well, the barbecue needs to be taken care of. The alcohol needs to be taken care of because there's
they
litter
still
all
throwing
around
wings and shit on
the
grill.
marijuana. That needs to be taken care of. You have multiple hoods here. Gardena 13's here as well.
Over here hanging out and shit.
Is that a Mexican squad?
Which one?
Gardena?
Gardena 13, yes. It's a Hispanic gang, okay?
I know,
they
it's
have
a
the
few.
same common enemies, right? So when they're hanging out here together, what do you think the enemy's gonna do or the op's gonna do?
Now he's saying the real reason why they there. Let's keep it 100, bro. Now you saying the real reason why they let's keep it 100. It's not the food. They see gang activity, not people.
Literally.
Not regular people having fun. Like gangbangers, gangbangers. Okay, cool. They do gangbang. But just like when y'all niggas at work and y'all put on y'all police uniform, and then when y'all get off work, y'all somebody regular. That's how gangbanging is, bro. That's exactly how it is. It's not red in your eyes and hatred 24/7. You want to have a barbecue some days. You want to go out of town on vacation. You want to have a, oh yeah, I seen you up in Italy. Watch him. He from Hoover up in LA. Like, what the fuck, bro? I'm out here chilling. That's the same with them at the park. Like, yeah, I'm from Hoover, bro, but I'm chilling. Like, leave me alone. Police be on bullshit, man.
They're gonna come to the park, they're gonna start shooting, they're gonna endanger the little kids that are playing here, okay? I'm tired of the shootings, I'm tired of the homicides.
Agreed.
I'm tired of everything else. That's why we're here, to protect you guys and them.
And I appreciate that.
So
And
that's why we're here.
Cool.
All right? You guys be safe, all right?
And keep the mustache. Don't shave it for any reason, all right? Hey, I got the real reason why they're here.
What's going on, man?
Because the barbecue thing is kind of bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, that's petty. No one gets a permit for a barbecue. No one gets a permit to film. What they said is, okay, look, if we let these guys hang out, they're EBK, and the ops see them on Instagram, then there's a shootout at the park. That's why we have to clean this up, because otherwise, that's what they.
It says a shootout at the park.
Okay, so once this happens, then what's the game plan?
They gonna leave.
You just keep going?
Hell yeah, we ain't going nowhere.
But sir, you don't have a permit.
This the set. That's the permit.
You feel me? Like, I thought I was gonna be like a football player, but that shit didn't work out. So I chose the gangbang. You feel me?
Was it in your family at all?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my whole family from Hoover. Yeah, my whole family from that shit.
But if you were to guess, young men in the area, what percentage of them choose the Hoover route? What percent go?
I'm gonna keep it real, just 100%, bro. Because over here it's
100%.
It's activity over here. Like it's
not one of you guys is gonna be a freaking going to the moon on an astronaut.
From there still be plumbers and shit though. So that shit don't mean nothing. Just because you from the gang, that don't mean you can't go be a plumber.
It's people out here from the gang that got good jobs right here. Working hard.
So you guys are for 9 to 5s for the guys that do.
I'm not a 9 to 5 right now. I got a 9 to 5 right now.
What do you do?
I got a 2 job. I'm a chef. I'm a cook.
Do you guys view the police as a gang?
So he ain't
Of course.
No, I'm just
That's how we jump. That's how we jump.
You guys filming a music video?
Yeah.
No.
How much time do you guys need? I'll be reasonable.
All right, look. It's
an hour, you get an hour?
Hour, yep, and we out of here.
He's out of here?
All right,
An hour?
yep, and we out of here. Yep. Y'all gone, boom, we out of here. Y'all gave us an hour.
Okay, well, I can't leave, but I'm going to be in the area, okay?
All right, but yeah, I'm just saying, but just let us do our thing. All right, we got time. You gave us.
Is that reasonable?
It's 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock, we gone.
By 5 o'clock, you already gone?
5 o'clock, we gone.
Shake hands.
That's reasonable.
All right?
Don't shake hands.
After the
police ass. Well, we ain't got a shake on it. It ain't real, so we'll be here for another 2 hours.
police and the Hoovers struck a friendly agreement. We found we had 1 more hour to enjoy our barbecue. But I must ask the audience, do you guys think it's fair to pull the permit card? Because I doubt any of these officers ever pull a permit to go barbecue with their own family. All that being said, I do get the point that, hey, if these guys gather, shootouts happen, and that's why we squash it. But what are your guys' opinion of this?
They really up there camping at these fools' barbecue, man.
All right, guys, let me ask you something political, okay? Donald Trump is going to get into the White House. Probably by the time they see this, he will be in the White House. How do you guys feel about that?
I fuck with Trump.
I don't care.
Whoa. Tell why.
I don't got no problem with gold.
Just like most, he just don't know why. He following the trend. Yeah, I don't rock with Trump. Tell me why. He racist. Why you say that? Because he is.
The shit he got going right now, we ain't fucking with it.
What's that?
Out here, they trying to do like a rally. KKK rally and all that type of shit. We not having that.
Why do you associate that with Trump?
You don't be seeing his rallies, will be the signs they be having and shit.
I've never seen KKK.
They be having some crazy ass signs.
Have you ever tried joining the KKK?
Hell no.
What about...
Hey.
Whoa. Did I say something that was wrong?
Yeah.
What did I say?
That?
I said KKK.
Don't say no.
I said K.
No, you didn't.
Like Hoover and you guys co.
No.
I didn't know the lingo. Okay, I'll blurb that out.
It doesn't matter if you're interviewing a gang, a hitman, or even a SWAT team leader. If you can make them laugh, chances are you're going to have a good interview. But on this occasion, I messed up big time and accidentally dissed the entire crew I was dealing with. So I must say sorry to my new Hoover friends.
Okay, what's some Hoover lingo I need to know?
This how the Hoover lingo make Nigo go. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just natural with us. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying, we off the scribble with this shit. You feel me? Like we viral spiral. You know what I'm saying? We just jump out and dump shit out. Like I don't know how it go home. It just come naturally with me.
Like in the family you had growing up, how much of your family was in this?
Down there, everybody.
Women too?
Yep. My aunties, my little cousins, bigger cousins, everybody. You know what I'm saying? You got to.
You have any kids?
Yeah, I do.
Do they also join this too?
Hell no. I whip their ass.
Why is that?
Because it stops with me. in my family now, it stops with me. But other than that, I'm gonna keep it groovy. A lot of us been a part of this since we was kids. You know what I'm saying? We just going maturing through the situation as adults, thugging and keeping it real.
Compton, we're here, and it's a good day outside. And I'm happy. I'm just happy to be on Tommy G's channel today.
Is this normal though?
Man, hell yeah. They ain't never got nothing to do. Babysitting though. That ain't normal. Oh yeah, they don't babysit. They babysit them niggas on the side.
Do they usually just leave and come back?
Yeah, they usually leave and come back probably later, but.
Is the Los Angeles jail filled? Like, is it?
It's always overcrowded.
So they don't even have enough room to bring people.
Oh yeah, they got room for us. Yeah, they'll log us in.
Do you feel like that was a violation of rights?
For sure. For sure. The only reason that they didn't do more than what it was because the cameras was out.
No cameras out.
If y'all wasn't here and we didn't pull out our phones, they would have hemmed us on. We all would have been bumped up.
I guess with how much wild stuff happening in the city, I feel like this is kind of a waste of resources for them to camp out while people are eating hamburgers.
Definitely. Now you see where the taxpayers' money is going.
And I can say this. I think, like, I've lived in areas that are sketchy. I think like good accountable police can help a community, but it seems like this is overstepping.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely. That could be patrolling. There's other people out here getting robbed, all type of stuff.
We get our Hoover stankies. Other than that, we outside.
Hoover stankies?
Yeah, Hoover stankies.
Hey,
is that pussy?
That's not in the dictionary.
Get our Hoover stankies.
But that's the definition of it.
Hoover stankies. Hoover stank wings.
I heard you have Hoover stankies.
Yeah, on Hoover, we nigga trying to get big hoes, you feel me? Nigga trying to give back to like Manchester Elementary, you feel me? Give back to the kids, you feel me? All the shit, you feel me?
Is there a sport you'd want to support? Like, is there a sport that you played when growing up?
Shit, basketball, soccer, football, all that shit.
Because I think kids in sports is a very important thing.
Speech too, like I had problems with speech, like you feel me?
If you could teach a kid from the jump to feel comfortable with his voice, that's really big.
Bro, calm down. Damn. I just said you was a good kid. I told y'all I was going to be banging all in the background.
You can teach a kid.
Look at a little hot
from
head
the jump.
back here. Look at him. I would have edited all this out on your young ass, bro. Chill.
Feel comfortable with his voice, that's really big.
On the real.
Chill.
Anyone here got a verse?
Oh, you gotta tap it with the rappers, bro.
Who's
the dribble scribble? I don't know. I don't rap.
And there's been so many times where I couldn't understand my feelings. I just know that I'm driven. I'm risk taking for these millions. All these snake ass niggas, I tell them stay up out the business because these niggas will tell we ain't even do it killing. How you hate me? Because I can't trust you, nigga. When everybody was against you, I stood close to you, nigga. When the truth came out, I was hurt. I was tripping. You was my brother, but I had to go and make a decision. Oh, you feel me?
Conversation with myself, so I'm fighting these demons. I'm snotty, why you doing me wrong and then say you ain't mean it. I'm in the set of your car freaking in this game park.
That nigga been in jail.
Over here in the How the you got a bag and ain't flipped yet? Nigga, we them niggas really get checks. Dead homies, and we step on niggas' backs and break necks. Nigga, on the set axis, the H game. Nigga, if you ain't really for official, then you can't hang. Dead homies. Nigga.
That poetry.
I saw a nigga get. Who else? Oh, who else do this shit? Who? Follow me, who?
You go, bro.
Gardena on Hoover.
You know your ass be freestyling when you drunk, bro. You do it.
Primos. We primos with them on Hoover. You already know. We primos with them. Waffle okay. I don't know, man. You know the police could have shut us down. Could nobody shut us down? Look, they got more homies.
Y'all can't tell these ain't no cool niggas, man. Y'all don't stereotype like I do. Of course, everybody, when they get mad, they get mad. But overall, bro, I don't see nobody out here too extra out, thirsty. You know what I'm saying? They just, Oh, they just being them, bro. This is a good vlog, Tommy.
Right here, come over
Jeezy.
here. Them the little homies right here. Them the troubles. These the 50s. These the little homies from 5-1 on Hoover. Them the
streets.
homies right there on the set. You feel me?
You want a shot?
I'll do a shot.
Take a shot.
I'll do a shot. Ooh, you top tier. Chandelier. You my type of guy.
Alcoholics.
All right, hey,
don't know they would
it's
drink all
5
y'all
o'clock. We're
shit.
peacing out. You got any final thoughts?
Nah, man, Hoover Street and all that. Hoover. Appreciate you for coming.
Hey,
For sure.
thanks for having me, brother. I had a good time.
Big Paul.
Hey, and thanks to whoever was the cook. They did season this shit, so I'm impressed.
Oh, yeah, man, that shit was crazy.
Thank you, God.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining me. See you next week. Peace.
Tommy G. I'm gonna get at y'all later, man, on the next vlog. Y'all be cool how y'all be cool, and get that Ghost Gang merch, man.